Chapter 1391. Hidden Dragon Fortress, Central Square. Amethyst Elder. The Chio clan that this old man is from has been cultivating monsters and beasts for millions of years. Facing Amethyst Elder's denial, the white-haired old man from the Chio clan immediately retorted unhappily. Although I don't dare to say that I'm familiar with all the divine beasts, monsters and beasts in the world, but as the symbol of good fortune, the ancient divine beast Kirin, this old man believes that he wouldn't make a mistake. Elder Chio, don't be angry. This elder wasn't denying your judgment just now. After hearing the white-haired old man's rebuttal, the purple-clothed, middle-aged man's attitude could be considered to be more polite. It's just because the strange beast that Pill Emperor you has transformed into is a genuine divine beast Kirin, and not a monster or beast that contains the bloodline of the divine beast Kirin. Since the ancient and Middle Ages were destroyed, the cultivation of all living things had become more and more difficult. As the spirit of all living things, humans still had a glimmer of hope to reach the God realm. However, for monsters and beasts that needed a huge amount of energy to advance, it was already very difficult to advance to the Emperor realm, let alone the God realm, which had an endless lifespan. Therefore, in the entire Tianxian continent, there hadn't been a divine beast corpse or divine blood that contained divinity for millions of years. This was also the main reason why humans could become the masters of the continent since the ancient era. However, from the aura that Yu Howard emitted when he transformed into Kirin, there was indeed a trace of divinity. Therefore, in the face of the purple-clothed, middle-aged man's explanation, the white-haired old man from the Chio clan didn't know what to say. Yu Howard, I really didn't expect that you actually have the purest blood essence of the divine beast Kirin. The people present could only guess the true origin of the blood essence that Yu Howard had just consumed from the faint divinity emitted when he transformed into Kirin. As for Qin Tianyi, who had transformed into the blood fiend heaven-devouring python, his beast instincts and the reaction of Kirin bloodline in his body let him know that the blood essence that Yu Howard had just swallowed was the blood essence of the mythical beast Kirin. Qin Tianyi, there are still many things you didn't think of. Yu Howard replied indifferently as his forehooves stepped on Kirin's divine origin fire and rose into the air. One was the blood essence of Kirin of the divine realm, and the other was half of the blood essence of Kirin of the third grade of the venerable realm. Qin Tianyi knew that the blood fiend heaven-devouring python she transformed into was no match for them. Needless to say, after Yu Howard transformed into the divine beast Kirin, he possessed the strength of a peak grade 5 martial honorable. Therefore, Qin Tianyi looked at the Qilin with a trace of hesitation. Qin Tianyi, don't tell me that you intend to admit defeat. Seeing the hesitation in Qin Tianyi's eyes, Yu Howard knew that Qin Tianyi, who was controlled by the Green Hill Fox clan, would not abide by an oath without any restrictions. Therefore, Yu Howard had to stop him from admitting defeat. Therefore, on one hand, he was full of contempt and sarcasm, hoping to provoke his anger. On the other hand, he was secretly using the secret technique of the mythical beast Kirin's bloodline, fighting to be able to injure or kill Qin Tianyi in one move. Since Yu Howard had already guessed his thoughts, Qin Tianyi straightforwardly admitted, Yu Howard, you and I are still very young and have a long road ahead of us. There is no need to care about temporary gains and losses. Therefore, even if I take the initiative to admit defeat, there is nothing to be ashamed of. Qin Tianyi frankly admitted that he wanted to admit defeat, which was immediately out of everyone's expectations. After all, before the two officially fought, Qin Tianyi took the initiative to mention that they had a life and death battle. Even if there was no oath binding the original battle, admitting defeat so shamelessly not only threw away the pride that a martial artist should have, but also lost the Dao heart that martial artists should have. Emperor Qin, who was at the top of the southern mountain range's stands, looked at Qin Tianyi, who was still in his blood fiend heaven-swallowing python transformation, and said while gritting his teeth, no wonder he would become the lackey of the Green Hill Fox clan. He was originally exactly the same as those animals who liked to play tricks and were good at taking advantage of the situation. How could I have such a son who is even worse than an animal? Facing Emperor Qin's curses, Meng Zhengkai knew that it was best for him to not say anything now. He quickly turned his head to look at Yu Haoran on the stage to see how he would deal with Qin Tiany's shameless admission of defeat. That's right. Facing Qin Tiany's intention to admit defeat, Yu Haoran nodded in agreement and humiliated him. With the cunning and treacherous nature of your Green Hill Fox clan, it is normal for you to do anything shameless. Who told you to be just a group of animals who have no upbringing and don't know etiquette? Otherwise, the last emperor of the Shang clan in the Middle Ages would rather burn himself to death than be willing to leave with your ancestors. Isn't it because he has completely seen through your nature and is unwilling to continue wallowing in the mire with you? Yu Haoran, shut up. Facing Yu Haoran's undisguised insults, especially when he mentioned the last emperor of the Middle Ages Shang dynasty, Qin Tiany suddenly shouted in exasperation. Yu Haoran, Qin Tiany is completely dead just now. He is now just a walking corpse without his own thoughts, a puppet controlled by the Green Hill Fox clan. Just as Qin Tiany's mood suddenly changed, fouling in the sea of consciousness suddenly reminded him. So, now you don't need to use the bloodline secret method of the mythological beast Kirin. As long as you explain everything to the hidden dragon Luck, you don't need to intervene in the rest of matter. Moreover, this way you can kill Qin Tiany and get his storage magic tool. It can also eliminate the complicated hatred in Ling Fei's heart. Fouling, thank you. After hearing Fowling's reminder, Yu Haoran thanked him very gratefully. Since he and Qin Ling Fei had a real confrontation in the arena, he found that Qin Ling Fei's mood had become very low. Although she used to gnash her teeth in hatred when she mentioned Qin Tiany, but the brother-sister relationship that she grew up with in blood was thicker than water, how could she bear to watch Qin Tiany die? What's more, he died in the hands of her husband. Therefore, when he used the inherited fist technique of the ancient 12 ancestral witches, he only used the power of the ancestral witch's physical body and did not use the power of the ancestral witch's bloodline. He hoped to completely injure Qin Tiany, and then, after abolishing his cultivation, completely suppress him in the Prince-Consort Association to avoid unnecessary misunderstandings between him and Qin Ling Fei in the future because of Qin Tiany. Chapter 1392. Hidden Dragon Fortress. On the arena, slowly dispersing Kirin's transformation secret technique, Yu Haoran glanced at Qin Tiany, who had also dispersed the blood fiend heaven-swallowing python transformation. After a trace of gloomy coldness flashed in his eyes, he cupped his hands and said to the list in midair, "Hidden Dragon Luck, if someone uses the method of controlling the contestant's mind to participate in the competition, is it considered breaking the rules of the Hidden Dragon ranking competition?" Of course. Accompanied by an affirmative answer, the huge 7-color dragon head reappeared on the list. The 6 middle-aged powerhouses in purple who were sitting on the dragon throne had to stand up again and respectfully stand beside the dragon throne. Yu Haoran's interrogation just now made Qin Tiany, who had just finished his transformation secret technique, change his expression. Immediately after, he forcibly stabilized his flustered mind and then pretended to be calm as he looked at Yu Haoran and the 7-colored dragon head condensed by the Hidden Dragon Luck in midair. Hidden Dragon Luck. What is the final punishment for those who use this method to break the rules of the competition? Yu Haoran cupped his hands and continued to ask. The soul will scatter and never enter the cycle of reincarnation. Although the tone of the Hidden Dragon Luck's recovery was as calm as water, it was like a bolt from the blue to Qin Tiany. Fortunately, his strong state of mind made him calm down again, and he continued to look at Yu Haoran and the 7-colored dragon head with a calm expression. If that's the case, then I'll leave Qin Tiany, whose mind has been controlled by the Green Hill Fox clan, to you. Yu Haoran pointed at Qin Tiany, who was pretending to be calm, and said with an indifferent expression, "Prince Consort, what did you just say?" Although in his heart, he couldn't wait to kill Qin Tiany personally to prevent him from continuing to embarrass himself. The unbreakable affection between father and son made Emperor Qin also think of ways to awaken Qin Tiany's conscience and make him a new person. Therefore, after Yu Haoran's explanation just now, Emperor Qin suddenly stood up and asked. Facing Emperor Qin's questioning, Yu Haoran pointed at Qin Tiany and said, Imperial Father, this person is no longer your prince, nor is he Ling Fei's brother. He is merely a puppet controlled and manipulated by the Green Hill Fox clan. Prince Consort, are you sure? Qin Ling Fei, who had rushed to the edge of the arena in an instant, asked with tears in her eyes. If you don't have confidence in me, why don't you listen to what the hidden dragon fortune says? Raising his finger, Yu Haoran pointed to the colorful dragon head that was watching Qin Tiany and shrugged. Emperor Qin and Qin Ling Fei's continuous questioning, as well as Yu Haoran's explanation and answer, caused the peak martial venerables and peerless experts at the top of the spectator stands to all stand up. Then, they looked nervously at the colorful dragon formed by the hidden dragon fortune. If the truth was as Yu Haoran said just now, then the influence and implications behind this matter were too great. This was because even Emperor Qin, who was his biological father, and his biological sister, who was related by blood, could not discover the abnormality of Qin Tiany's mind being controlled by the Green Hill Fox clan. Then, among the direct descendants of their clans, were there also people controlled by the Green Hill Fox clan? After all, from the eight-tailed green fox that was killed by the purple-clothed middle-aged expert, it could be seen that the Green Hill Fox clan's ambition to rule the world in the Middle Ages had never disappeared. If they used a method of controlling the important figures of various forces to start a war, it would cause chaos in the 5 regions and then use it to rule the world. The Saintess of the Green Hill Fox clan. The colorful dragon head formed by the hidden dragon fortune suddenly gnashed its teeth and said a name angrily. In fact, with the means of the hidden dragon fortune, it only needed to take a careful look to determine Qin Tiany's true state. The reason why it observed for such a long time, just now, was that I hoped to track down the person who controlled Qin Tiany through Qin Tiany's mind being controlled and then give the person the harshest punishment. The Saintess of the Green Hill Fox clan. After hearing the colorful dragon head call out the name, the expressions of all the experts present who knew the Saintess of the Green Hill Fox clan changed. Yu Haoran, who also knew the origin of the Saintess of the Green Hill Fox clan, showed an expression of as expected in his eyes. In fact, when Yu Haoran learned from Thaling that Qin Tiany's mind was being controlled, he guessed that the Green Hill Fox clan wanted to use Qin Tiany's identity as the third prince to secretly control the great Emperor Qin's kingdom, which was about to unify the southern region. Now, after learning that the person behind Qin Tiany's mind was the Saintess of the Green Hill Fox clan, he was even more certain of his guess. After all, the Green Hill Fox clan used the same method to control the emperors of the Shang dynasty and the Zhou dynasty in the Middle Ages, thus realizing the Green Hill Fox clan's secret ambition to rule the world. At the same time, Yu Haoran finally understood why the Green Hill Fox clan had been trying to get rid of him. In addition to the supreme treasure that they had painstakingly repaired in the treasure vault of the Four Symbols sect, it was also because his influence on the great Emperor Qin's kingdom would destroy their plan to secretly control the great Emperor Qin's kingdom. Master Hidden Dragon, do you need us to immediately contact the venerables of the other 4 regions and then go to the Green Hill mountain range together to completely wipe out the Green Hill Fox clan? Seeing the fury in the colorful dragon head's eyes, the middle-aged expert in purple knew that his opportunity to show off had come, so he immediately asked for the order with a murderous look. The Hidden Dragon Roll competition was the most important method for the Hidden Dragon luck to improve the level of the innate spiritual root. No one was allowed to destroy it. Therefore, when the colorful dragon condensed from the Hidden Dragon luck was about to nod in agreement to the middle-aged expert in purple's request, Qin Tiany, who had been silent all this time, suddenly spoke. Qin Tiany's voice and the meaning of her words directly confirmed Yu Haoran's accusation just now. There is a sleeping old man in the Green Hill Fox clan who was lucky enough to enter the virtual zone. Qin Tiany reached out to pick up a few strands of messy hair on her forehead. Her voice was like an oriole's, and her expression was like water. The hidden dragon luck. My ancestor not only has the means to weaken the sword principle luck, but he can also use the means to weaken the luck on you. After hearing Qin Tiany's threat, or rather, the green fox Sainus's threat, the colorful dragon head's eyes immediately turned murderous. The holy girl of the green fox tribe looked at it fearlessly. "You, Howren," asked the fox girl if the old fox who once entered the virtual zone is called Su Wanru. When the colorful dragon head and the green fox Saintus looked at each other, Thaling in Yu Howren's sea of consciousness suddenly gave an order. After nearly 3 years of contact, Yu Howren knew Thaling's style of giving sudden orders very well. He knew that Thaling had a way to deal with the green fox Saintus threat to the hidden dragon luck. Therefore, he didn't ask any questions and directly walked up to Qin Tiany. Chapter 1393. In the arena of the hidden dragon fortress. Fortunately, Yu Howren, who had a strong mental fortitude, suppressed the urge to vomit in time and asked with a frown, "Fox girl, you just mentioned that the old fox who entered the virtual zone is Su Wanru, right?" Although Yu Howren suppressed the urge to vomit in time, the holy girl of the green fox tribe saw his expression clearly. The tragic death of the 8-tailed ancestor of the green fox tribe, who had just woken up, exposed a plan that the green fox tribe had secretly carried out for millions of years. She had to take the initiative to deal with the hidden dragon luck. The culprit of all this was the young man in front of her, who wanted to vomit at the sight of her. Therefore, the holy girl of the green fox tribe wanted to kill him with her sword. However, after Yu Howren asked a secret that most of the tribe members did not know, the holy girl of the green fox tribe had to suppress the murderous intent in her heart and asked in disbelief, "You, how do you know about Ancestor Wanru?" "Fox girl, don't worry about how I know the name of your ancestor. Now tell me, is Su Wanru dead or alive?" Yu Howren repeated Thaling's words in his sea of consciousness. "My ancestor has always been alive." Since he was repeating Thaling's words, Yu Howren naturally sounded very familiar with Su Wanru. The holy girl of the green fox tribe could only suppress the doubts in her heart for the time being and answer. It seems that she not only obtained the treasure that can prolong her life, but also successfully advanced to the demigod realm through countless years of hard work. Thaling could not help but sigh after hearing the holy girl of the green fox tribe's reply. Yu Howren did not know whether Thaling's sigh was directed at him or the holy girl of the green fox tribe, so he repeated it in the same tone. "Yu Howren, who are you?" Patriarch Wanru's possession of a treasure that could extend one's lifespan, as well as the fact that she was a powerhouse who had successfully ascended to demigod realm 3,000 years ago. It could be said to be one of the greatest secrets of the Green Hill Foxes, and only the clan leaders and Sainuses of each generation knew about it. Moreover, the holy girl of the Green Fox tribe couldn't help asking with an abrupt look on her face when she saw Yu Howren's exclamation as a senior to a junior. "Fox girl, go back and tell Su Wanru that if she still wants to keep the inheritance of the Green Hill Fox clan and doesn't want to see the Green Hill mountain range covered in blood, not only must she immediately release all the people who are under her control, but she must also live in seclusion for 1,000,000 years." Yu Howren continued to repeat Thaling's words, ignoring the holy maiden of the Green Fox clan's question. "Yu Howren, who do you think you are? What qualifications do you have to order us to seal ourselves off from the world for 1,000,000 years?" Faced with Yu Howren's request, or Thaling warning, the holy girl of the Green Fox tribe immediately mocked him disdainfully. "Yu Howren, since she refuses to listen to your advice, then there's no need to pay attention to her." The holy girl of the Green Fox tribe mocked Yu Howren with disdain, which made Thaling remind her angrily. "Now, tell the hidden dragon luck that the old fox named Su Wanru was able to enter the virtual domain because of a boundary talisman that can teleport through the void. At the same time, that boundary talisman is only a one-time talisman magic treasure. Moreover, except for the method you use to weaken the sword luck, there is no other method in this world that can weaken any kind of luck in the virtual domain." In Thaling's opinion, the holy girl of the Green Fox tribe's attitude was the same as Su Wanru's attitude. Therefore, he decided to teach the Green Hill Fox clan the most painful lesson for the sake of their acquaintance. Amethyst Elder, immediately contact all the venerables in the other 4 regions. Tell them to temporarily stop the competition for the Hidden Dragon list and focus on eliminating the Green Hill Fox clan. We must eliminate them completely. After hearing Yuhauran repeat Thalink's explanation about the great ancestor of the Green Fox tribe entering the virtual domain and the holy girl of the Green Fox tribe's deceit, the giant rainbow dragon became even angrier. He immediately ordered the purple-robed, middle-aged expert. "Your Excellency, please calm down." Just as the purple-robed, middle-aged expert cupped his hands and was about to accept the order, a voice that confused countless experts on the scene suddenly came from above the central square. Su Wanru's doppelganger. Thaling reminded him with a complicated expression, looking up at the void above the hidden dragon fortress through the space of the sea of consciousness. "Thaling, how powerful is Su Wanru's doppelganger?" Yuhauran immediately asked nervously after hearing Thaling's reminder. After all, Thaling had just mentioned that Su Wanru was very likely to have reached the demigod realm. In that case, even if it was just a doppelganger, it was probably as powerful as Emperor Wu. It's the peak strength of a 3-tribulation quasi-Emperor Wu. Thaling retracted his gaze from the void and looked at the hidden dragon Luck, which had also noticed the abnormality in the void, and replied and explained. After all, the rules of the way of heaven have not been perfected yet. A powerful expert at the level of Emperor Wu cannot be born for the time being. Thaling, with the strength of the hidden dragon Luck, can you kill a powerful expert at the peak of a 3-tribulation quasi-Emperor Wu? Although he was not a true, almighty martial emperor expert, he knew from the difference in strength between the Sky Martial Sex ancestor and the long-armed ape that even if he used all his strength, including the Pagoda Spirit's possession technique, he would not be a match for a 3-tribulation quasi-martial emperor expert. Therefore, he could only pin his hopes on the hidden dragon Luck. In the hidden dragon fortress, where the potential and luck of countless warriors are gathered, the hidden dragon Luck is an invincible existence. Let alone Su Wanru's doppelganger. Even if the original body of a demigod were to descend, the result would still be difficult to escape death. Thaling immediately explained with a smile, knowing what Yuhauran was worried about. After hearing Thaling's explanation, Yuhauran could not help but secretly breathe a sigh of relief. Since the hidden dragon Luck could easily kill Su Wanru's doppelganger, with the agreement between him and the hidden dragon Luck, as well as the protection of the rules of the competition, it would not leave him in the lurch. Glaring at a certain cloud in the void above his head, the 7-colored dragon head condensed by the hidden dragon Luck roared, "Come out." Master Hidden Dragon's emotions are becoming more and more human. It seems that he is not far from advancing to a higher level of existence. Accompanied by a pleasant voice of praise, a woman in a long white dress walked out from the void cloud. Beautiful, stunning beauty, indescribable beauty. There were countless words to describe peerless beauty, such as outshining the moon and putting flowers to shame, graceful and charming, and so on, but they could not accurately describe the beauty of the woman in front of him. At this time, not only were countless experts and the surrounding spectators stands obsessed with the beauty of the woman in white, but even the middle-aged expert in purple and the other venerables were also attracted to her. Thaling wanted to immediately remind Yuhauran not to be obsessed with Su Wanru's beauty, but he was surprised to find that he was not attracted by Su Wanru's beauty and temperament, so he immediately asked in confusion, "Yuhauran, isn't that woman in white beautiful? Beautiful, a peerless beauty." Yuhauran praised very calmly. "Since she is beautiful, why are you not moved?" Thaling continued to ask. Chapter 1394. Hidden Dragon Fortress on the stage. As the saying goes, not everyone has a love for beauty. Thaling continued to ask. Faced with Thaling's relentless questioning, Yuhauran looked at Qin Lingfei at the edge of the stage, then at the sword without trace 30 meters away from the stage, and couldn't help but sigh. Thaling, after experiencing countless life and death situations in my past life, I deeply understood a principle, and that is, the more beautiful something is, the more dangerous it is, and the more dangerous it is, the more one should stay away from it. Su Wanru was indeed very beautiful, the kind of beauty that could shock the world, the kind that was irresistible. She was the most beautiful woman he had seen in both his past and present life. But it was also a beauty that made him immediately vigilant. This was because in his past life, he had seen an even more beautiful treasure in an ancient ruin, the 10th level first grade water-drunken cloud immortal tree. The water-drunken cloud immortal tree floated in the water, naturally emitting a unique aura that could make living creatures intoxicated. Every 3 seconds, it would change color, making it even more brilliant and magnificent. The 10th level first grade was only a spirit tree that had just entered the ranks of spirit trees, and the drunken cloud fruit it produced was at most equivalent to a 10th level, 9th level spirit stone. However, not only did the water-drunken cloud immortal tree completely enchanted him, even the void spirit mouse who had seen countless rare treasures in the world fell for it. And that encounter was probably the closest he and the void spirit mouse had ever come to death. Because the water-drunken cloud immortal tree was a demonic tree that relied on absorbing the flesh and soul of living creatures as nourishment, he and the void spirit mouse were so intoxicated by the water-drunken cloud immortal tree's enchanting aura that they didn't even notice that their flesh and blood had been sucked clean. If it wasn't for the fierce killing intent of the enemy who had chased after him and the void spirit mouse in time, he and the void spirit mouse wouldn't have been able to escape. If it wasn't for the fact that his alchemy cultivation was already at the Grandmaster level, and he had a large amount of top-notch healing pills on him, and the void spirit mouse might really have died under the water-drunken cloud immortal tree. Therefore, since then, he and the empty spirit mouse seemed to have been traumatized. The more beautiful something was, the more they could maintain the highest vigilance at all times. This was the real reason why he could resist Su Wanru's beauty. Although Yuhauran's explanation did not completely dispel Thaling's doubts, at least he knew that Yuhauran did not deliberately stay awake to attract Su Wanru's attention. Therefore, Thaling, who didn't have to worry about Yuhauran being bewitched, didn't continue asking. Instead, he looked up at Su Wanru, who was slowly landing in front of the rainbow dragon. Wanru greets, Lord Hidden Dragon. Su Wanru bowed slightly and greeted with a faint smile. In response, the 7-color dragon only looked at her coldly and said nothing. Lei greets Patriarch. After Su Wanru bowed to the hidden dragon Luck, the green fox Holy Girl immediately knelt down and bowed. Holy Girl, please rise. Su Wanru gestured gently. Then, she looked at Yuhauran. Su Wanru was slightly surprised when he saw that Yuhauran was not bewitched by his beauty and temperament at all. This was because he could tell how powerful his beauty was from the reaction of the middle-aged expert in purple who was at the peak of 9th grade martial venerable. However, Su Wanru was a top expert in the demigod realm after all. He quickly regained his composure and asked with a smile, "You must be Yuhauran who stole the treasure of my Green Hill Fox clan. As the saying goes, catch the thief with the dirty, catch the adulterer with the pear." In response to Su Wanru's question, Yuhauran waved his sleeves and rose into the air. He then stood next to the 7-color dragon head and looked at Su Wanru at the same level as he questioned in a rather impolite tone. "Su Wanru, which eye of yours saw me steal the treasure of your Green Hill Fox clan?" Yuhauran, the treasure that the Four Symbols sect restored was personally refined by me. I can use a special method to directly summon its image. Su Wanru was not angry at all in response to Yuhauran's unreasonable questioning. Instead, he replied with a smile. "Su Wanru, then hurry up and use a special method to summon it." Yuhauran also provoked Su Wanru fearlessly. Back then, when he had discovered the Green Hill Fox clan's treasure, the soul-severing banner, in the Four Symbols sect treasury, he could not approach the soul-severing banner because his soul had not reached greater mastery. Thus, Thaling had forcefully taken it into the victor. Afterwards, as his cultivation and strength rapidly increased, and he continuously obtained peak-level ritual tools, he had never had the time or mood to refine the soul-severing banner. As a result, he had always left it in the victor, let alone the fact that Su Wanru was only a clone. Even if his main body, as a demigod soul, used a special method to summon it, he would not be able to summon the soul-severing banner's image from a victor. After all, the victor was a peak natural treasure that had existed since the beginning of the world. Even a peak, god-level expert would not be able to break through the victor's defenses. However, even the demigod Su Wanru was so nervous about the soul-severing banner that he was even willing to take the initiative to ask for it. It seemed that he did not place enough importance on the soul-severing banner. He had to find time to truly understand its power in the future. Yu Haoran's fearless provocation caused Su Wanru to furrow his brows. However, when he thought about how Yu Haoran was young and impetuous, and how he lacked experience, it was very likely that he thought that putting the soul-severing banner into his storage ritual tool would be foolproof, so Su Wanru immediately relaxed his brows. Yu Haoran, why don't you and I make a bet with that precious treasure of yours? Sure. Yu Haoran nodded in agreement without any hesitation. Although Yu Haoran's reaction was too calm, Su Wanru spoke with confidence. If I can use a special method to summon the image of that treasure from your body, then the winner of this bet will be me. If not, then you will win. What are the stakes? While nodding in agreement to Su Wanru's bet, Yu Haoran was more concerned about the stakes. If I win in the end, then Yu Haoran, you will refine pills for the Green Hill Fox clan for free for 100 years. Yu Haoran could not help but furrow his brows and ask when he saw that Su Wanru had been looking at him without saying anything after saying that she would win the bet. Su Wanru, what if I win in the end? I won't lose, Su Wanru said confidently. Su Wanru, if you win, Yu Haoran agree to refine pills for the Green Hill Fox clan for 100 years. Yu Haoran sneered disdainfully at Su Wanru's blind confidence. He then pointed at the Green Hill Fox holy girl standing in the arena. But if I'm the one who wins, I'll take her life. After hearing Yu Haoran mention the stakes, Su Wanru immediately reminded him unhappily. Yu Haoran, 100 years of refining pills in exchange for the life of the Green Hill Fox clan's holy girl. Isn't the bet a little unfair? She's just a holy girl of a strange beast clan. Why does she have to be compared with me, who is about to become an alchemy emperor? Yu Haoran retorted in an even more domineering manner in response to Su Wanru's unhappy reminder. Chapter 1395. In the arena of the hidden dragon fortress. When Yu Haoran said that the person he really wanted to kill was Su Wanru, it was as if a huge rock had been thrown into the calm water. It immediately aroused the anger of countless people present. Yu Haoran, what did you just say? Summer Valley Fengze, who was ranked 4th, waved his sleeves and rose into the air. He then stood in front of Su Wanru and glared at Yu Haoran as he asked, Yu Haoran, how dare you say such disgraceful words to Goddess Wanru? I think you're tired of living. Yuan Lixing, who was ranked 6th, also rose into the air and stood next to Summer Valley Fengze. He then threatened Yu Haoran with a murderous look. After that, more than 30 contestants who were obsessed with Su Wanru's beauty rose into the air. They looked like they would fight Yu Haoran to the death at any time. Fortunately, the top martial venerables and peerless experts at the top of the spectator stands quickly came to their senses and used a special secret method in time to wake up the spectators who were still obsessed with Su Wanru's beauty, so that they did not participate in threatening and questioning Yu Haoran. As for the contestants who were glaring angrily at Yu Haoran in the air, the top martial venerables were afraid of the power of the 7-colored dragon head and Su Wanru. They did not rashly wake them up or stop them. If you still want to participate in the competition, get out of here immediately. Even the top martial venerables on the spectator stands quickly woke up, let alone the middle-aged man in purple who was at the peak of 9th grade martial venerable. When he saw that more than 30 contestants had broken the rules of the competition and were planning to surround and attack Yu Haoran, he appeared in front of Yu Haoran in a flash and roared at the contestants with a pale face. His roar instantly awakened the minds of more than 30 contestants, waking them up from their stupor. thinking about how they had not only broken the rules of the competition, but also planned to surround and attack Yuhaoran, whose strength could be said to be terrifying. Their faces immediately turned pale, and they hurriedly descended. Only Summer Valley Fengze, who was ranked 4th, and Yuan Lixing, who was ranked 6th, glanced at Yuhaoran without a trace of panic. Their eyes were still filled with a strong desire to fight. Su Wanru, what are you trying to do? It was not easy for him to ease the tense and antagonistic relationship with Yuhaoran, and with the help of the 2nd rank, 3rd rank Supreme Realm benefiting Spirit Pill, he reignited the hope of breaking through to the Emperor Wu realm. But because he was temporarily obsessed with Su Wanru's beauty, a flaw appeared in his state of mind, which greatly affected his Emperor Wu realm breakthrough. Therefore, after the contestants left, the purple-clothed, middle-aged expert asked with a murderous look in his eyes. Amethyst Elder, you are not our match. Retreat first. Seeing that the purple-clothed, middle-aged expert was about to attack, Yuhaoran walked to his side and shook his head at him. Elixir Emperor Yu, with the help of the hidden dragon fortress. Faced with Yuhaoran's reminder, the purple-clothed, middle-aged expert was immediately unconvinced and wanted to refute. However, Yuhaoran's next sentence made him back down and take a few steps back. Su Wanru's cultivation base is at the demigod realm. The one in front of you is just a clone with the peak strength of a 3-tribulation quasi, Emperor Wu. Seeing that not only did Yuhaoran know the true cultivation base of his original body, but also his current state and strength, Su Wanru's various strange behaviors at this moment aroused great interest. At the same time, he suddenly felt a little unconfident about the bet that he had taken the initiative to propose just now. Yuhaoran, Su Lei, is the saintess of the Green Hill Foxes, second only to the clan leader. While her status is noble, it also involves the bloodline of the Green Hill Foxes. Nothing can happen to her at all. Since he wasn't completely confident, Su Wanru, who was adept at acting prudently, immediately used the excuse of canceling the bet that she had taken the initiative to propose just now. Since we can't come to an agreement because of the bet, then let's call it off right away. Su Wanru's fickleness and scheming made Yuhaoran even more aware of the Green Hill Fox's treachery and craftiness. At the same time, his determination to exterminate the Green Hill Foxes also strengthened. After naturally canceling the bet, Su Wanru didn't continue mentioning the Green Hill Fox's ultimate treasure, the soul-severing banner, nor did she pay any attention to Yuhaoran. Instead, she looked directly at the rainbow dragon head formed by the Hidden Dragon Fortune. Lord Hidden Dragon, for my sake, could you not pursue Lei's mistake of interfering with the competition just now? What do you think? The rainbow dragon head replied coldly. I think you'll agree to it. In response to the rainbow dragon head's cold reply, Su Wanru smiled and took out a bronze mirror from her storage item. She then waved it at the rainbow dragon head and spoke with great confidence. It's a void mirror forged by Yun Zhongzi during the Middle Ages. Faling said grimly in his consciousness when he saw Su Wanru take out the bronze mirror. Faling, could Su Wanru enter the void with a replica of the void mirror? Yuhaoran asked worriedly. The void mirror possessed the heaven-defying ability to travel through the void at will. It was a connate, peerless treasure that had been born at the same time as Faling, and was also one of the peerless treasures that had been reincarnated through the demon god's tomb's self-destruction. Yun Zhongzi, the #1 prodigy of refining during the Middle Ages, possessed a refining ability that even Faling felt inferior to. Therefore, Yuhaoran was worried that the void mirror forged by Yun Zhongzi also possessed the ability to travel through the void and enter the void. Yuhaoran, the void exists in the layers of the endless void. It's impossible to enter the void with the void mirror forged by Yun Zhongzi alone. Knowing what Yuhaoran was worried about, Faling hurriedly comforted him while revealing a trace of doubt on his face. Yun Zhongzi during the Middle Ages was not only a refining prodigy, but also a very ambitious person. With his unparalleled artifact crafting ability, not only did he copy all the pre-world supreme treasures and pre-world spirit treasures that existed at the beginning of the world, he also turned his own realm into chaos. He wanted to recreate the process of the creation of the chaos, so that he could comprehend the state of immortality. However, the creation and evolution of the chaos obeyed the rules of the way of heaven. Yunzhongzi's ambition was not only to defy the way of heaven, but also to replace the rules of the way of heaven and become the only master of the world. How could the rules of the way of heaven tolerate such a thing? Therefore, Yunzhongzi should be the first person to be targeted by the rules of the way of heaven, and also the first person to be secretly dealt with. However, although Yunzhongzi was secretly dealt with by the rules of the way of heaven, the realm he had created was not destroyed. The countless imitations of connate, peerless treasures and spiritual treasures were still hidden in a secret realm in the endless void. Chapter 1396. In the central square of the hidden dragon fortress. If what he guessed was true, it was reasonable for Su Wanru and the virgin goddess of the Green Fox tribe to refuse his reminder. At the same time, the Green Hill Fox tribe's plan to control the minds of their opponents, to provoke disputes on the continent, and then take advantage of the chaos to conquer the world was likely to be realized. After all, with Yunzhongzi's powerful refining ability, the primordial treasures and primordial spiritual treasures he imitated were basically 10% to 30% of the original's power, which was enough for a peerless master in the martial venerable realm to possess the powerful strength of Emperor Wu with the help of the imitated primordial treasures and primordial spiritual treasures. Since the imitated void mirror could not enter the virtual zone, it was impossible for the opponent to threaten the hidden dragon luck. Therefore, after Yuhaoran secretly heaved a sigh of relief, he waited to see what tricks Su Wanru was going to play. Su Wanru mobilized a trace of Yuan Qi into the void mirror and demonstrated the ability of the bronze mirror to travel through space in different ranges. Then he asked with a smile, "Your Excellency, what do you think of the power of this celestial device? What on earth do you want?" The seven-colored dragon had asked with a dignified look in his eyes. "If you agree to let me take the virgin goddess and Yuhaoran away, I'll give you this celestial device," Su Wanru replied with a confident smile in the face of the hidden dragon luck's rebuke. Su Wanru's offer immediately caused different thoughts to emerge in the hearts of the people present. For the top martial venerables and peerless masters at the top of the stands, they certainly did not want the hidden dragon luck to agree to Su Wanru's offer. They also wanted Yuhaoran, who was about to break through to the Alchemy Emperor realm, to help them refine elixirs. For most of the contestants under the arena, they very much hoped that the hidden dragon luck would agree to Su Wanru's offer and take Yuhaoran away. In this way, they would have one less strong opponent to compete for the hidden dragon luck. As for the purple-robed middle-aged man, he hoped that the hidden dragon fate could be exchanged for a supreme treasure that could allow him to travel freely through space. At the same time, he did not want Yuhaoran to be taken away by Su Wanru. "Master Hidden Dragon, what do you think?" Su Wanru asked with a smile as he waved the bronze mirror in his hand after seeing the pondering look in the rainbow dragon's eyes. Faced with Su Wanru's questioning, the seven-colored dragon head suddenly turned to look at Yuhaoran and asked, "Young man, what do you think I should do?" He hesitated not, because he coveted the void mirror's ability to travel freely through the void, but because he was worried that Su Wanru or the Green Hill Foxes might have a way to harm his providence and enter the void with the void mirror to harm his body of providence. At the same time, it didn't want the other party to take Yuhaoran away. This was because apart from having a way to weaken the Sword Dao providence, Yuhaoran also vaguely emitted a trace of destiny's aura. As a connate spirit root condensed from the potential of living beings, the hidden dragon fate's powerful instincts told it that the trace of destiny contained unpredictable risks. It did not dare to offend Yuhaoran too much. After thinking about it, it could only ask for Yuhaoran's opinion and listen to his thoughts. It's just a replica of the void mirror. It only has 10% of the original's power. At most, it can travel through space in the same area. I don't know what you're hesitating about. Yuhaoran immediately questioned the hidden dragon fate's hesitation. After hearing Yu Haoran's honest evaluation of the bronze mirror, Su Wanru and the seven-color dragon head could not help but change their expressions at the same time. However, a trace of panic flashed through Su Wanru's eyes, while the seven-color dragon head's eyes were filled with endless rage after being deceived and played. "You deserve to die," glaring angrily at Su Wanru, who dared to deceive and play with it. The seven-colored dragon head roared at the sky. Then two bucket-sized bolts of seven-colored lightning shot out from its eyes. Glaring at Yu Haoran with resentment, Su Wanru immediately used the bronze mirror ritual artifact in her hand and appeared beside Su Lei in a flash. Then, just as she was about to forcefully take Su Lei away from the hidden dragon fortress, she suddenly heard a voice that made her feel shocked. "Immediately use your strongest power to form a spatial turbulence. That way, you can prevent her from using the bronze mirror ritual artifact to escape from the hidden dragon fortress." Yu Haoran repeated Thaling's reminder to the seven-colored dragon head. With the hidden dragon fate's absolute control over the hidden dragon fortress, it instantly filled the space around the fortress with extremely dangerous spatial turbulence. Yu Haoran. If it weren't for Yu Haoran's timely reminder, no matter how powerful the hidden dragon fate was, even if it had absolute control over the hidden dragon fortress, it wouldn't be able to find a way to stop the fake void mirror's ability to travel through space in a short period of time. Now, if she couldn't leave the hidden dragon fortress with the fake void mirror, not only would Saintess Su Lei die in the hidden dragon fortress, but the clone that she had painstakingly refined would also be destroyed in the hidden dragon fortress. How could Su Wanru not hate this to the core? Su Wanru, if the bronze mirror ritual artifact in your hand was a real void mirror, it would naturally not be affected by the spatial turbulence. You would also be able to leave the hidden dragon fortress unscathed. Looking at Su Wanru, who had stopped using the fake void mirror to leave, Yu Haoran couldn't help but gloat. Looking at the seven-colored dragon's eyes condensing more powerful seven-colored thunderbolts, Su Wanru, who knew that he couldn't escape, immediately reached out his hand and pressed it on Su Lei's forehead. When the seven-colored thunderbolts shot out by the seven-colored dragon struck the clone's back, she used a special secret method to send Su Lei's soul back to her original body in the forbidden area of the Qingxiu Mountains, successfully saving her life. When the seven-colored thunderbolts completely blasted the clone into powder, Su Wanru left behind a threat filled with endless anger and resentment. Yu Haoran, when the 5 regions hidden dragon ranking competition ends, you'll be a slave for life. Completely ignoring the threat left behind by Su Wanru's clone when it was destroyed, Yu Haoran looked directly at the bronze mirror ritual artifact that had fallen on the arena. Although the fake bronze mirror ritual artifact only had 15% of the original void mirror's power, it could freely travel through hundreds of thousands, millions, or even tens of millions of kilometers of space. It was powerful enough. If he could obtain the fake void mirror, even if Su Wanru's demigod-level original body descended, he wouldn't be able to easily trap him. However, Su Wanru's clone was killed by the hidden dragon providence, and the bronze mirror ritual artifact was a weapon of the hidden dragon providence. With his relationship with the hidden dragon providence, he was far from qualified to take the initiative to ask for the bronze mirror ritual artifact. Therefore, Yu Haoran could only forcibly withdraw his gaze from the bronze mirror ritual artifact. "Master Hidden Dragon, if I can obtain this treasure artifact that can freely travel through space, I'll definitely be able to help you discover more monstrous geniuses with great potential and recruit them into the hidden dragon fortress." Yu Haoran wasn't qualified to ask for the bronze wall ritual artifact from the hidden dragon providence, but the purple-robed middle-aged expert who had long coveted the bronze mirror ritual artifact believed that he was qualified. Chapter 1397. On the central square of the hidden dragon ranking, facing the purple-robed middle-aged man's flattering request, a trace of hesitation flashed in the eyes of the giant seven-colored dragon. However, when it thought about how Su Wanru had relied on the bronze mirror's ability to travel through space and easily avoided its first attack, It thought about how Su Wanru could have relied on the bronze mirror to escape the hidden dragon protection with Su Lei if Yu Haoran had not warned it in time. The hesitation in its eyes was immediately replaced by determination. Several seven-colored thunderbolts as thick as an arm bombarded the bronze mirror in succession. The hidden dragon luck finally decided to destroy it directly to prevent someone from using the bronze mirror to challenge its prestige and affect the future competition of the hidden dragon ranking. Although the bronze mirror was made by Yun Zhongzi by imitating the void mirror, the materials used to refine it and the formation engraved in it were far inferior to the void mirror. In the end, the bronze mirror that could travel through space was destroyed by the seven-colored thunderbolts. Looking at the seven-color dragon head that merged back into the ranking list and the bronze mirror that was turned into nothingness by the seven-colored thunderbolts, Yu Haoran finally sighed, reluctantly, and landed in front of Qin Tiany's body. Looking at Qin Tiany, who had completely lost his breath, Yu Haoran could not help but shake his head and sigh as he thought of the past grievances. Then he took off the storage ring on his finger and found the elixir bottle that contained the blood essence of the evil, heaven-swallowing python. Finally, he wrapped Qin Tiany's body with his yuan qi and sent it to Emperor Qin. After Qin Tiany's body was sent to the south stand, the competition that had been interrupted for more than 10 minutes returned to normal. I admit defeat. After using the blood essence of an exotic beast to transform into the divine beast Kirin, he had the strength of a peak 5th grade martial venerable. This move alone was not something he could resist. Therefore, the 15th contestant who was forcefully brought into the ring did not wait for Yu Haoran to make a threatening choice and directly admitted defeat. I admit defeat. I admit defeat. I admit defeat. Immediately after, the 14th, 13th, and 12th contestants on the ranking list all admitted defeat as soon as they stepped onto the ring. Yu Shixiao, can we just spar without taking each other's lives? The contestant ranked 11th on the leaderboard, who was unwilling to admit defeat, politely discussed the matter. Either surrender or die. To this, Yu Haoran's reply was still to raise the white staff that he had just taken out, calmly giving a threatening choice. I admit defeat. In the face of Yu Haoran's ruthless threats, the player ranked 11th on the list finally admitted defeat. However, just as he was about to leave the ring, the 11th ranked contestant glared at Yu Haoran with resentment. Zhang Zhongning greets Yu Shixiao. Zhang Zhongning, who was forcefully brought into the arena, did not immediately choose to admit defeat. Instead, he called out with a smile on his face. Yu Haoran greets Senior Zhang. After Yu Haoran also cupped his hands in return, he immediately raised the white staff in his hand and calmly gave his opponent the same choice. Either surrender or die. Yu Shixiao, although your strength is very strong, Zhongning still wants to spar with you. In the face of Yu Haoran's threatening choice, Zhang Zhongning did not admit defeat, nor was he angry at all. He still had a smile on his face as he spoke. Violent storm. Zhang Zhongning's decision not to admit defeat was not beyond Yu Haoran's expectation. This was because the top 10 contestants on the ranking list, regardless of cultivation and strength, arrogance and means, as well as the weapons and martial arts they possessed, were far from comparable to the other contestants on the ranking list. Therefore, he, who had already secretly activated the physical strength of the ancestral, which immobilized his yuan qi and soul power, took the initiative to attack as soon as Zhang Zhongning said that he wanted to spar. Whether it was cultivation and strength, reputation and status, Yu Haoran was far superior to him. Therefore, Zhang Zhongning did not expect his opponent to be prepared to attack in advance. Although he took out his upper venerable stage weapon in time, he did not have time to mobilize all his strength to counterattack and defend. This caused him to be completely at a disadvantage in the first exchange of blows, and he was surrounded by danger. After a set of pear blossom storm attacks, Yu Haoran relied on his strong physical body to not retreat, nor did he stop to attack to catch his breath. He performed the second move of the Monkey Emperor's inheritance, the overturning seas and rivers 7 times in a row. Just as Zhang Zhongning, who was in a state of desperate defense, showed a slight flaw due to depression and anger. A fist technique, combined with the power of the ancestral witch's bloodline, directly smashed Zhang Zhongning's heart. Then, taking advantage of Zhang Zhongning's serious injury, the overturning seas and rivers moved directly smashed Zhang Zhongning's head. Seeing Yu Haoran kill Zhang Zhongning like a storm, Miao Zihai, who was ranked 9th on the list, and Zhang Tianji, who was ranked 8th, could not help but change their expressions. This was because their strength was similar to Zhang Zhongning's. If they wanted to defeat him, they would need to exchange at least hundreds of blows, let alone kill him quickly. Moreover, Yu Haoran did not use all his strength just now. Looking at each other, Miao Zihai and Zhang Tianji revealed a trace of hesitation in their eyes. 10th place. After killing Zhang Zhongning, who was ranked 10th on the list, Yu Haoran successfully squeezed into the top 10 in the final ranking. Carefully sensing the process of devouring, the giant 7-colored dragon, whose body had reached a height of 187 meters, revealed a joyful smile on its face. With the help of the hidden dragon luck, not only would he immediately become a top martial venerable when his cultivation broke through to the martial venerable stage, but he would also be able to directly advance to the early stage of 2nd grade martial venerable. After opening his eyes, Yu Haoran looked directly at Miao Zihai, who was ranked 9th on the list, below the arena. The smile on his face was then replaced by a sinister coldness. This was because he still clearly remembered that when the purple-clothed, middle-aged powerhouse had forcefully awakened them from their obsession with Su Wanru's beauty, the other contestants had obediently landed on the ground. Only Miao Zihai and Summer Valley Fengze, who was ranked 4th on the list, had looked at him with hatred. In order to clear the obstacles in the competition for Qin Lingfei, the sword without trace, and the others, he would not easily let go of the contestants who were ranked at the top of the list. Moreover, they were opponents who had shown hatred toward him. Earth-suppressing fist. Chapter 1398. In the arena of the hidden dragon fortress. Seeing Yu Haoran's sudden attack, Miao Zihai's expression changed. He instinctively wanted to first block the attack, and then admit defeat to the list in the air. However, what he did not expect was that the Supreme Grade Venerable Realm gloves combined with the inherited fist technique of the Ancestral, which bloodline had the strength of a peak 1st Grade Martial Venerable. This had far exceeded the defensive limit of Miao Zihai's physical body. At the same time, he did not have time to activate the Supreme Grade Sage Realm defensive magic weapon and was finally blasted into a bloody mist by the fist technique. Bang! A white-haired old man from the west side of the stands was instantly enraged when he saw Miao Zihai being blasted into a bloody mist. He could not help but slam the armrest of the stone chair, and a strong murderous intent immediately appeared in his eyes. Yu Haoran chose to ignore the angry slapping sound from the west side of the stands. He directly closed his eyes and began to use the special aura of the hidden dragon luck to speed up the inheritance of the 12 ancient witches' memories while waiting for the next opponent to enter the arena. I admit defeat. Zhang Tianji, who was ranked 8th on the list, immediately admitted defeat to the list in a panic the moment he stepped foot on the arena. In response, Yu Haoran did not even open his eyes and continued to immerse himself in the inheritance of the ancestral witches' memories. Ouyang Qinxin greets Yu Shixiao. Among the contestants of the hidden dragon ranking in the southern region, there were very few female cultivators, and those who could advance to the final were even rarer. If he did not include Qin Lingfei, Yu Siki, the sword without trace, and Kong Yung-ah, who had a special relationship with him, there was only Ouyang Qinxin, who had just been forcibly brought into the arena. Therefore, relying on the fact that she was a beautiful girl who was not inferior to Kong Yung-ah and Yu Siki, but slightly inferior to Qin Lingfei, Ouyang Qinxin, who was forcibly brought into the arena, did not directly admit defeat. Instead, she smiled and greeted. Yu Haoran greets senior sister Ouyang. Without opening his eyes, Yu Haoran cupped his hands and returned the greeting. Then, he raised the white staff in his hand. Without any discrimination, He gave the choice to either surrender or die. Yu Shi Xiang, can't you take into account that she's a girl and show her some mercy? Give Qinxin a chance to improve her strength and broaden her horizons. Facing Yu Haoran's threat, Ouyang Qinxin immediately put on an aggrieved expression and pleaded. In the eyes of Yu Haoran, there is no difference between men and women, old and young. There are only friends and enemies. Suddenly opening his eyes, Yu Haoran spoke with a strong fighting spirit. After expressing his attitude, Yu Haoran did not hold back at all as he used the power of the ancestral wizard's physical body and bloodline, coupled with his overwhelming staff techniques. Ouyang Qinxin did not expect Yu Haoran to be so cold-blooded and heartless. She, who had also comprehended the law of speed, quickly retreated and admitted defeat to the list in the air. I surrender. Instantly withdrawing the white staff, Yu Haoran immediately returned to his original position and continued to receive the ancestral wizard's memory inheritance. Yu Haoran, you're really a cold-blooded and heartless man. Seeing Yu Haoran instantly return to his original position, Ouyang Qinxin reprimanded him in an incomparably submissive manner. Yu Haoran did not give any response to this. In fact, he was already being merciful just now. Otherwise, he completely had the strength and means to make Ouyang Qinxin not even have the chance to surrender. Seeing Yu Haoran ignore her reprimand, Ouyang Qinxin finally stomped her foot angrily and flew out of the arena while cursing in a low voice. Stinking man, miser, miser. I don't know why Qin Lingfei would fall for a cold-blooded and heartless bastard like you. Although the countless male experts present could not bear to see Yu Haoran's cold-blooded and heartless treatment of Ouyang Qinxin, Qin Lingfei, the sword without trace, and Kong Yung-ah felt incomparably sweet in their hearts. However, when Yusiki looked at Ouyang Qinxin, who had an outstanding appearance and figure, a trace of pleasant surprise appeared in her eyes. I surrender. Yuan Lixing, who was ranked 6th on the list, was like Zhang Tianji, who was ranked 8th. As soon as he stepped onto the arena, he immediately surrendered. However, unlike Zhang Tianji, he did not immediately leave the arena after the rainbow dragon finished devouring. Yuan Lixing, was born in the southern region and grew up in the central region. My true opponents are only those monstrous geniuses in the central region. After a series of bold and visionary words, Yuan Lixing spoke to Yu Haoran with an arrogant expression. Yu Haoran, the reason why I surrendered was not because I was afraid of you, but because I did not want to reveal too much of my strength and trump card in the southern region's hidden dragon rankings. Therefore, the true battle between us will be postponed to the arena of the 5 regions' hidden dragon ranking battle. Slowly opening his eyes, Yu Haoran watched Yuan Lixing fly away from the arena. A trace of disdain flashed across his eyes. True experts were fearless and pressed forward courageously. They were never worried about revealing their strength and trump cards in front of their opponents. Yuan Lixing's declaration, just now, was only because he felt guilty and wanted to preserve some face for himself. Senior Lan, this person is no longer suitable to be a candidate for the World Cleansing Organization's assessment. Yu Haoran could see Yuan Lixing's guilty conscience. As a peak 9th grade martial honorable, the purple-robed middle-aged expert could also see it. He pointed at Yuan Lixing, who was flying away from the arena, and ordered the blue-robed elder. Yes, Senior Lan. The blue-robed elder immediately responded respectfully. Yu Haoran, do you remember the 2 Zhu family's elite disciples that you killed when you just entered the city? Zhu Xuanqing, who was ranked 5th on the list, reminded him coldly as he took out a superior-grade honorable realm-long spear after he was forcefully brought into the arena. It seems that you want to avenge them. Yu Haoran slowly opened his eyes and put away the upper-grade Exalted Realm Staff Dharma artifact. Then he put on the upper-grade Exalted Realm Dharma artifact. If you are willing to kneel in front of their memorial tablets and cow down 9 times, perhaps I will consider sparing your life. Zhu Xianbin said with great mercy. Yu Haoran's response was very direct and simple. Fist suppressing the earth, Zhu Xianbin, who had a cold smile on his face, immediately became gloomy when he saw the fist technique of the 12 ancient witches. Then, he used a heaven-level peak spear technique to meet Yu Haoran's fist technique. Cold Star Sparkle. The spear technique of the heaven-level peak spear technique caused a long spear in Zhu Xuanbin's hand to move up and down, left and right at lightning speed. The tip of the spear emitted a cold light and immediately shot out countless starlight like stars. Chapter 1399. The update of the first 5 chapters would begin today, in the arena of the Hidden Dragon Fortress. Although the spear had reached the highest grade of the Venerable Realm, it was limited by Zhu Xuanbin's own strength. The starlight formed by the spear martial skill was barely at the level of a 3rd Tribulation quasi-martial Venerable. Yu Haoran's body had reached the level of a 1st-grade peak martial Venerable. Even if he stood still and allowed the starlight to attack him, it would not hurt him at all. Therefore, he simply ignored the starlight's vital point attack. The power of his fist technique was not reduced at all as it blasted towards the spearhead. Boom! Accompanied by a violent roar from the starlight, Zhu Xianbin, who was holding the spear, took 9 steps back. At the same time, Yu Haoran's roar came from the dazzling starlight. Fist breaks the firmament. Silver light strike. As a disciple from the remote southern region, Zhu Xianbin was able to grow from being ignored at the beginning to becoming a core disciple of the Zhu clan step by step. In addition to his monstrous talent, he was also calm and had rich combat experience. Although he had made a mistake in his first spear technique, causing him to suffer a slight injury, when faced with Yu Haoran's second fist technique, which was even more powerful, he did not panic at all. He continued to use the second spear technique that could condense starlight to attack. Boom! Although the power of the counterattack was very decisive and timely, the huge gap in strength and martial skill could not be made up for by combat experience. Therefore, the result of the second exchange was that Zhu Xianbin took 16 steps back directly. Zhu Xianbin immediately swallowed a healing pill and mobilized all his strength. Zhu Xuanbin's earlier actions caused Yu Haoran to mistakenly believe that Zhu Xianbin intended to use an even stronger spear martial technique. However, Zhu Xuanbin's actions were out of everyone's expectations. I admit defeat. Seeing Zhu Xianbin, who was holding the spear horizontally and preparing to use a stronger spear martial skill, suddenly raised his head and admitted defeat to the list in the air, Yu Haoran was stunned, and a trace of regret appeared in his eyes. If he had known that Zhu Xianbin was going to admit defeat, not only would he not have stopped his attack, but he would have integrated the law of speed and the law of flash to not give him a chance to speak. However, it was too late to regret now. Yu Haoran could only helplessly return to his original position and accept the process of being devoured by the colorful little dragon. Venerable One, what do you think? The blue-robed old man asked the purple-clothed middle-aged man with a slightly hesitant expression, because Zhu Xianbin was the target of his assessment and contact. Although Zhu Xuanbin's performance just now wasn't bad, it only proved that he was a very shrewd person. However, Zhu Xuanbin's actions might bring a hidden danger to the future of purification and the Hidden Dragon Fortress. Faced with Lan Zun's question, the purple-clothed middle-aged man stared at Zhu Xianbin in the arena. His eyes revealed a thoughtful expression. In fact, Zhu Xuanbin's performance just now was not bad overall. He not only had the courage to confront Yu Haoran directly, but he also had the foresight and shrewdness to react decisively. Moreover, the purple-robed middle-aged expert was confident that Zhu Xianbin would not have any disloyalty after becoming his subordinate. However, considering that Yu Haoran would make use of special elixirs to break through to the Alchemy Emperor realm after the Hidden Dragon rankings, and that he would refine some top-notch elixirs on the spot, he didn't want to anger Yu Haoran because of Zhu Xianbin. After thinking about it, the purple-clothed, middle-aged expert finally decided to delay the matter of recruiting Zhu Xianbin until the 5 regions Hidden Dragon rankings competition. After all, according to the rules of the 5 regions Hidden Dragon rankings competition, Zhu Xianbin was very likely to fight with Yu Haoran again. If Zhu Xuanbin's performance in that competition was still outstanding, then he would ask Lan Xun to recruit him. As for whether or not he would offend Yu Haoran afterwards, the purple-clothed, middle-aged expert naturally had a way to resolve it. Looking at the smug Zhu Xianbin flying away from the arena, Yu Haoran only sneered. He didn't continue to accept the inheritance of the 12 ancient witches' memories. Instead, he quietly waited for Summer Valley Fengzi, who was ranked 4th on the rankings. This was because Summer Valley Fengzi was like Miao Zihai. He was still full of resentment towards Su Wanru after escaping from the charm of his beauty. Yu Haoran, regardless of whether you want to kill me directly or take the initiative to admit defeat, can you listen to what I have to say first? Summer Valley Fengzi, who had been forcefully brought into the arena, immediately retreated and pleaded as soon as his feet touched the ground. Summer Valley Fengzi's unexpected action made Yu Haoran frown involuntarily. He dispersed the power of the fist technique that he was about to perform and then looked coldly at his opponent to see what he wanted to say. Summer Valley Fengzi couldn't help but heave a long sigh of relief when Yu Haoran took the initiative to disperse the power of the fist technique. He then asked with a serious expression, Yu Haoran, I'm not sure if you've heard of the surname Summer Valley. Summer Valley Fengzi's first question not only successfully attracted Yu Haoran's interest, but also made the audience in the spectator stands immediately quiet down. This was because the surname Summer Valley was not among all the surnames in the Tianqian continent. At the same time, Summer Valley Fengzi seemed to have appeared out of nowhere. No one had heard of such a person before. Shaking his head, Yu Haoran indicated that he hadn't heard of it before. Yu Haoran, I'm from the Xia family, a top inheritance family in the central region. I'm also the biological son of the current clan leader. Without immediately explaining the origin of the surname Summer Valley Fengzi suddenly spoke of his own origins. After hearing Summer Valley Fengzi's introduction of his origins, the top martial venerables and peerless powerhouses from the north and east spectator stands all had extremely shocked expressions on their faces. The Xia family had been passed down since the beginning of the Middle Ages. They were a powerful family that had established a dynasty earlier than the Shang family and the Zhou family. Furthermore, unlike the Shang family and the Zhou family, whose dynasties had been conquered, the Xia family had taken the initiative to withdraw from the ruling power of the dynasty and chose to live in seclusion. Therefore, the Xia family's strength was completely preserved. Even during the destruction of the Middle Ages and the recent ages, the Xia family did not suffer too many losses due to their seclusion. Therefore, even if the Shang family and the Zhou family joined forces, they were still no match for the Xia family. However, just like the Shang family and the Zhou family, the Xia family placed great emphasis on the legitimacy of the bloodline inheritance. Therefore, the men of the Xia family could only marry women from the same family that had been passed down since the Middle Ages. The family with the longest inheritance in the southern region was the Su family, which had also chosen to live in seclusion like the Xia family. However, the Su family's inheritance had been passed down for less than 1,000,000 years. They did not meet the marriage requirements of the Xia family at all, let alone the marriage of a dignified clan leader. If the woman that the Xia family leader married was not from the southern region, then Summer Valley Fengzi would not even be qualified to participate in the Hidden Dragon ranking battle in the southern region. Therefore, apart from being shocked, there was also confusion in everyone's eyes. Chapter 1400. In the arena of the Hidden Dragon Fortress. Seeing Yu Haoran's puzzled expression, Summer Valley Fengzi explained with a bitter expression. Xia is my father's surname, and Gu is my mother's surname. The name Summer Valley Fengzi was given by my mother. In the southern region, the only woman with the surname Gu who was worthy of the dignified Xia family patriarch was that terrifying existence. Therefore, Yu Haoran could not help but ask after hearing Summer Valley Fengzi's explanation of the origin of his name. Summer Valley Fengzi, could it be that your mother is Carefree Valley's Valley Master, Gu Exan? Hearing Yu Haoran mention Carefree Valley's Valley Master, Gu Exan, most of the people present had puzzled expressions in their eyes. Even the southern region's overlord, Emperor Qin, could not help but frown as he carefully recalled. However, from the actions of the purple-clothed middle-aged expert and the dozen or so peerless peak martial saints, everyone knew that Carefree Valley's Valley Master, Gu Xin, must be a shocking expert. It was normal for the purple-clothed middle-aged expert and the others to know of Carefree Valley's Valley Master, Gu Xin. Because they were experts of the same level, they must have heard of each other's existence. However, the young Yuhaoran was able to know of it, which made Summer Valley Fengzi feel a little puzzled. Yuhaoran, you've heard of my mother? It's better to enter the Yushu Temple than to provoke Carefree Valley. Faced with Summer Valley Fengzi's questioning, Yuhaoran looked at him with a complicated expression and could not help but sigh. Carefree Valley was located in the southernmost part of the southern region. Although the scenery was picturesque, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth was close to zero. Basically, martial artists rarely set foot in the valley. The reason why he knew of Carefree Valley's existence was that he had met Carefree Valley's Valley Master, Gu Xin, when he entered the demon god's ancient tomb in his previous life. Although Gu Xin could not be considered a peerless beauty who could cause the downfall of a country, she was definitely a peerless expert who could command the winds and clouds. At that time, outside the demon god's ancient tomb, Gu Xin had relied on an ordinary tree branch to fight 17 peak 9th grade martial saints from the Flowing Cloud sect and the Xiandao school. In the end, not only did she not fall into a disadvantageous position, but she also killed 9 people in a row and severely injured 8 people in a short 5 seconds. It was a completely one-sided situation. According to the introduction of the experts who had witnessed the battle at the time, he understood the existence and mystery of Carefree Valley, and also knew how powerful and terrifying the heart of the valley was. In his previous life, under such a difficult cultivation environment, the 3 people who were most likely to break through to become martial saints were the Heavenly Palace Master, the Rogue Cultivator Venerable, and the Carefree Valley Master. In this life, with the reverse nourishment of the demon god's ancient tomb's explosion energy, as well as the greatly improved cultivation environment, even if Carefree Valley's Valley Master Gu Xin hadn't broken through to Emperor Wu's boundary, he likely possessed a strength no weaker than a supreme elder like Emperor Wu. Yuhaoran, my father is the Xia family's patriarch, and my mother is the Carefree Valley's Valley Master. I don't know if you want to win the competition by defeating me or killing me. Yuhaoran was able to understand the existence and mystery of Carefree Valley, as well as the strength and terror of his mother, so he didn't need to waste his breath to explain in detail. Therefore, Summer Valley Fengzi put away the bitter smile on his face and threatened with an arrogant expression. Summer Valley Fengzi, although I don't know what kind of person the Xia family's patriarch is, I know very well that Carefree Valley's Valley Master Gu Xin is a woman who doesn't lose out to men. Her beauty is even greater than men's. Faced with Summer Valley Fengzi's self-righteous threat, Yuhaoran's eyes were full of disdain and mockery. As the son of Carefree Valley's Valley Master Gu Xin, your performance just now could be said to be extremely poor. You didn't inherit Senior Gu Xin's indomitable spirit, and you also threw away her steadfast and fearless Tao heart. At this point, Yuhaoran suddenly took a step forward and roared with a fierce expression. Summer Valley Fengzi, you don't deserve to be Senior Gu Xin's son at all. Yuhaoran's accusation and the fierce question at the end caused the arrogance in Summer Valley Fengzi's eyes to be immediately replaced by panic. His face turned pale in an instant, and he couldn't help but take more than 10 steps back. Summer Valley Fengzi, either you admit defeat openly or you fight to the death with me. Don't ruin the image of Senior Gu Xin that I respect in my heart. Ignoring Summer Valley Fengzi's panic, Yuhaoran gathered the power of his fist technique again and continued to roar fiercely at Summer Valley Fengzi. I admit defeat. One could see the deep disappointment in Yuhaoran's eyes, as well as the undisguised murderous intent. Thinking of his mother's instructions before he left, Summer Valley Fengzi admitted defeat in front of the list in a depressed mood. Summer Valley Fengzi, before you leave the arena, I have a question in my heart. I wonder if he can answer it for me. Summer Valley Feng Zhe finally chose to admit defeat. Yu Haoran couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. According to the experts who had watched the fight in his previous life, Carefree Valley's Valley Master was not only a terrifyingly strong expert, he was also a powerful arcane master who was proficient in innate divination. Therefore, unless it was absolutely necessary, he really didn't want to offend a powerful arcane master like Gu Xian by killing Summer Valley Feng Zhe, and thus implicate his family and friends. However, just as the little rainbow dragon finished devouring and Summer Valley Feng Zhe walked out of the arena in a depressed mood, Yu Haoran suddenly opened his mouth and asked. Stopping in his footsteps, Summer Valley Feng Zhe turned around and gestured, "Speak." Summer Valley Feng Zhe, you and I have only just met in the arena today. We definitely don't have any grievances between us. Why did you become hostile towards me when you left Su Wanru's charm? In fact, rather than asking Summer Valley Feng Zhe to answer his question, it was better to use this question to resolve the hostility between them. Because ever since his mental cultivation had smoothly broken through to the martial venerable realm, he found that his arcane cultivation had suddenly reached a bottleneck. No matter how much he studied Fushi's 8 trigrams, he couldn't break through the arcane master's bottleneck and advance his innate divination to the second level. Therefore, he planned to personally go to Carefree Valley after the 5 regions Hidden Dragon ranking competition and see if Gu Xian could help him break through the arcane master's bottleneck. My mother and Senior Su Wanru are best friends. I was once engaged to the Green Hill Fox clan's holy maiden. Glancing indifferently at Yu Haoran, Summer Valley Feng Zhe opened his mouth to explain as he turned around and left the arena. Sigh. After hearing Summer Valley Feng Zhe's explanation, Yu Haoran couldn't help but shake his head and sigh. Su Wanru's doppelganger, which he had painstakingly refined, could be considered to have been indirectly destroyed by his own hands. The Green Hill Fox lady's plan to use Qin Tianyi's mind to control the southern region had been ruined by him. There was already an irreconcilable grudge between them. Then, as Su Wanru's best friend and Su Lei's mother-in-law, Gu Xian probably wouldn't be so kind as to help him break through the arcane master's bottleneck. Chapter 1401. In the arena of the Hidden Dragon Castle, the Tianxian continent paid great attention to the inheritance of bloodlines. Normally, the longer the bloodline of a family or a sect, the more powerful it would be and the more profound it would be. However, in the central region, there was a very special family which had broken the rule of bloodline inheritance. That was the Qian family, which was behind Qian Yuanjin, who ranked 3rd on the ranking list. The Qian family was a small family which had been established for less than 300 years and was barely above 100. However, such an ordinary-looking small family actually possessed a terrifying power which could affect the entire Tianxian continent. The reason was that too many talented warriors had appeared in the Qian family. For example, Qian Tianyu, who ranked 1st among the top 10 rogue cultivators in the Tianxian continent, was called Qian Kun Limitless Sword. He was the brother of the leader of the Qian family. For example, Qian Bumai, who ranked 3rd among the top 10 masters of magic formation in the Tianxian continent, was the 3rd elder of the Qian family. For example, Qian Yunjin, who ranked 2nd among the top 10 masters of magic formation in the Tianxian continent, was called Miraculous Hands. For example, the top 3 geniuses who ranked 3rd, 7th, and 10th among the top 10 young warriors in the Tianxian continent were the core disciples of the Qian family. Since the Qian family had only existed for a short period of time, the blood relationship between the members of the Qian family was relatively strong, which made the entire family very united and protective. Basically, if one offended a younger member of the Qian family, countless older members of the Qian family would rush out to take revenge. Because of the Qian family's great power and protective nature, Qian Yuanjin, who ranked 3rd on the ranking list, was very calm when facing Yu Haoran. Qian Yuanjin, nice to meet you, Yu Shixiao. Qian Yuanjin politely greeted Yu Shixiao. Yu Haoran, nice to meet you, brother Qian. Yu Haoran politely greeted Qian Yuanjin back. While he was considering whether to give up or die, Qin Yuanjin waved his hands and said, "You Xixiang, don't get me wrong. The reason why Yuanjin didn't immediately admit defeat wasn't because he wanted to fight against Yu Xixiang. He was just passing on a few words for the two elders of the family. Please, Brother Qian." Qin Yuanjin's friendly attitude made Yu Haoran give up his threat immediately. But at the same time, his attitude remained gentle. "Yu Xixiang, after the Southern Region Hidden Dragon Rankings competition ends, do you intend to directly start charging into the Alchemy Emperor stage?" Qin Yuanjin couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief when he saw Yu Haoran's gentle attitude towards him. After all, the piles of minced meat on the arena and the stage that was dyed red by the bloody mist were all killed by Yu Haoran cold-bloodedly and mercilessly because they did not take the initiative to admit defeat. "That's right," Yu Haoran nodded and admitted. "Yu Xixiang, I wonder if my aunt will be able to observe you closely when you start to break through to the Pill Emperor realm?" Qin Yuanjin asked cautiously. "Sure." Alchemists who could be ranked among the top 10 alchemy grandmasters in the Tianxian continent were basically powerhouses who were obsessed with the cultivation of alchemy. Generally, such powerhouses would not interfere with the breakthrough of the Alchemy Emperor stage. Moreover, they would not tolerate any interference in the process of breaking through to the Alchemy Emperor stage. Therefore, in the face of Qin Yuanjin's first request, Yu Haoran readily agreed. "Thank you, Yu Xixiang." Breaking through to the next realm could be said to be the most important thing for a warrior. It was impossible for him to tolerate or allow a stranger to approach him, let alone observe him closely. Therefore, Yu Haoran's quick agreement made Qin Yuanjin very excited and happy. "You are welcome." Yu Haoran shook his head indifferently and continued to look at Qin Yuanjin, waiting for him to say the second request. "Yu Xixiang, before the Hidden Dragon Ranking competition of the 5 regions starts, I wonder if you can spare some time to visit the Qian family in the Central Region. The third elder of the Qian family would like to invite you to discuss the array theory together." Compared to the first request, which was a bit excessive, the second request was much more reasonable. Therefore, Qin Yuanjin said with a smile, "This." In the face of Qin Yuanjin's second request, Yu Haoran suddenly hesitated. Before the start of the Hidden Dragon Ranking competition of the 5 regions, all the contestants who qualified for the competition would have a 1-month rest period so that they could use the Hidden Dragon luck to enhance their cultivation and strength. And he needed to use the Hidden Dragon luck to speed up the acceptance of the inheritance of the 12 ancestors of ancient witches, as well as the practice of the fist arts and stick arts. He had no time or interest to discuss the array theory with others. Yu Xixiang, about 1,000 miles away from the Qian family, there's a mountain range which is not very large. In the deepest part of the mountain range, there's a cave which was left from the Middle Ages. Seeing the hesitation in Yu Haoran's eyes, Qin Yuanjin couldn't help but think of the third elder's instructions and further reveal the real intention of the invitation. According to the third elder's research in the past 10 years, he found that the owner of the cave was very likely a demigod warrior who had reached the Array Emperor realm. In the cave, there is his lifetime collection. Qin Yuanjin's further explanation made Yu Haoran slightly tempted. However, compared to the complete acceptance of the inheritance of the 12 ancestors of ancient witches, the cave left behind by the Array Emperor realm was obviously not tempting enough. Therefore, he wanted to refuse the third elder's invitation. "Yu Haoran, say yes." However, at this moment, Thowling in his mind suddenly reminded him. "Why?" Yu Haoran asked confusedly. "Because the opportunity for the second body to break through to the Array Emperor realm is in the cave left behind by the Array Emperor demigod warrior." Thowling gave a reason which made it impossible for Qin Yuanjin to refuse. However, how did Thowling know that there was an opportunity for the second body to break through to the Array Emperor realm in the cave left behind by the Array Emperor demigod warrior? "Yu Haoran, if my guess is correct, the owner of the cave should be the Plum Blossom Elder, who is the 10th disciple of Gigazi, who is known as the Plum Blossom 7 Killers in the Middle Ages." Facing Yu Haoran's question, Thowling didn't hide anything and gave an explanation. Although he had never heard any information about Gigazi and the Plum Blossom Elder in his previous life, since these two people were known by Thowling, there might be an opportunity for the second body to break through to the Array Emperor realm in the cave. Therefore, when Yu Haoran agreed to Qian Yuanjin's request, he also gave the time to go to the Qian family. I admit defeat. After getting Yu Haoran's approval, Qian Yuanjin immediately raised his head and admitted defeat to the list in the air. Yu Shixiang, goodbye. Chapter 1402. In the arena of the hidden dragon fortress. Surrender or die. This was what Yu Haoran had said to most of his opponents ever since he had been forced to participate in the tag team battle. However, what the audience did not expect was that Yu Haoran's words, which were supposed to be a threat to others, were now being used as a means to threaten him. Either surrender or die. Bai Dongsheng, who was ranked second on the leaderboard, threatened Yu Haoran as soon as he stepped into the arena with his Supreme Grade Honorable Realm Sword. I choose to die. After putting on the Supreme Grade Honorable Realm gloves again, Yu Haoran was not angry at all because his opponent had stolen his line. If that's the case, I'll grant you death. While replying to Yu Haoran's choice, Bai Dongsheng clenched his right fist and hit his chest. He spat out 3 mouthfuls of blood essence on the Supreme Grade Honorable Realm Sword. Then, he threw the Supreme Grade Honorable Realm Sword into the air. He quickly formed a seal with his 10 fingers and shouted at the same time, "Return of the Killing God." Along with Bai Dongsheng's shout, the Supreme Grade Honorable Realm Sword that had been infused with his blood essence and imprint quickly condensed into a handsome, middle-aged man in white clothes. He was in his 40s. This is Bai Qi, who became a martial god in ancient times. He once slaughtered 10 million people in 10 cities in one night, and is known as the Killing God. Looking at the middle-aged man who was condensed from the Supreme Grade Honorable Realm Sword in the air, a top martial venerable in the northern stands suddenly stood up and shouted. The top martial venerable's shout immediately caused the faces of countless people in the arena to change. Moreover, some warriors with weaker mental fortitude turned pale because of the extreme fear that surged in their hearts. Bai Qi was a person who was neither good nor evil. It was difficult for future generations to give an accurate evaluation of him. If one were to say that he was a decent person, then in order to use more killing intent to break through to the martial emperor realm, he had once massacred tens of millions of people in 10 cities in a single night. Even some of the famous devils were not as cold-blooded and merciless as him. If he was an evil man of the evil faction, in order to protect countless creatures on the ancient continent, he had overdrawn his Tao foundation at the martial god realm and perished together with Soul Old Man, the leader of the evil faction who had planned to sacrifice countless creatures on the ancient continent. Even the leaders of the righteous faction who were willing to sacrifice their entire lives for the world weren't as righteous as him. Yu Haoran had heard of Bai Qi's deeds many times. In his previous life, under the lead of the empty spirit mouse, he had ventured into the evil soul old man's territory to search for the ruins of the battlefield where Bai Qi and the evil soul old man's last battle. Although he had experienced the great calamity in the near ancient era and the historical remnant had been greatly damaged, he could still feel Bai Qi's sense of camaraderie, as well as his determination to not fear death. Therefore, Yu Haoran took off his gloves and cupped his fist respectfully in the face of Bai Qi's figure formed from a top-grade Exalt Realm Sword. Yu Haoran's unexpected action stunned Bai Dongsheng, who had just taken out his natal sword. Complicated emotions appeared in his eyes. Yu Haoran, do you think my ancestor was a good person or a bad person? Is he a benevolent person or an evil person who has committed all kinds of evil deeds? Bai Dongsheng asked with anticipation as he raised his head to look at his ancestor's illusory figure in the air, waiting for his order. He was a good person who was loyal and was worthy of the eternal respect of millions of people. Yu Haoran replied according to his heart. Yu Haoran, thank you. After receiving Yu Haoran's reply, Bai Dongsheng expressed his gratitude. There's no need to thank me. I'm just speaking the truth. Yu Haoran shook his head to indicate that Bai Dongsheng did not need to thank him. He put on his gloves again and looked at Bai Qi's illusory figure in the air. His eyes were filled with anticipation. If you really want to say thank you, I should be the one thanking you. Because I, Yu Haoran, have been looking forward to having the opportunity to fight with the senior I've always respected. Then, Yu Haoran suddenly stomped on the hard platform and charged toward Bai Qi's illusory figure like a cannonball. Fists suppressing the earth. Killing joy. Seeing Yu Haoran charging at him, Bai Qi, who had received Bai Dongxing's telepathic message, immediately opened his eyes. At the same time, he roared and slashed out a sharp sword beam. The moment the sword Qi left Bai Qi's illusory figure's left hand, everyone present felt as if the beauty in their hearts had disappeared. Instead, endless anger surged in their hearts. Although anger could increase the power of his fist technique, Yu Haoran, who executed the earth-suppressing fist, had no choice but to do his best to suppress the anger surging within his heart. This was because Bai Qi's illusory figure had used a sword technique that had been infused with the laws. If he used his anger to perform a fist technique, not only would it not increase its power, it would also harm the soul in his sea of knowledge. When the fist technique and the sword technique collided, they canceled each other out without any sound. This meant that the martial skills Yu Haoran and Bai Qi had just performed were of the same strength. Fist breaking the firmament. When the fist technique and the sword Qi canceled each other out, Yu Haoran did not stop and continued to perform the second fist technique. Killing fury. Bai Qi's illusory figure also did not delay and performed the second sword technique. When the killing fury sword technique left Bai Qi's hand, the endless anger in everyone's hearts was instantly replaced by endless worry. Affected by this worry, Yu Haoran began to worry that he might not be a match for Bai Qi's illusory figure. He even began to consider whether he should just admit defeat. Fortunately, his strong state of mind suppressed this thought. Soon the fist technique and the sword technique collided. The result was exactly the same as the first time. The power of the fist technique and the sword technique canceled each other out. Fist shattering the Milky Way. Killing sorrow. Bai Qi's illusory figure performed the third sword technique almost simultaneously. As the sword Qi's power expanded, the endless worry in everyone's hearts was instantly affected by a strong sense of longing. This kind of longing was not only for lovers and family, but also for old friends and enemies. Affected by the longing, Yu Haoran could not control his gaze. He looked at Qin Lingfei, Yu Siki, and the sword without trace who were below the arena. Seeing that Yu Haoran was affected by killing Soro's sword Qi, Fouling in his sea of knowledge opened his mouth to remind him. However, Yu Haoran suddenly withdrew his gaze and increased the speed of his fist technique. Fouling could not help but heave a sigh of relief. Chapter 1403. Hidden Dragon Fortress. In the arena, after the fist technique and the sharp sword technique canceled each other out, Yu Haoran knew that he could no longer continue to display the fist technique from the ancestral witch's legacy. Otherwise, due to the disappearance and emergence of the seven emotions, he would have lost to the sword technique that Bai Qi had imbued into him. Since he had made up his mind, Yu Haoran skipped the fourth, fifth, and sixth move of the ancestral witch's fist technique and directly used the strongest seventh move. Ancestral Soul Reappear. Accompanied by Yu Haoran's explosive shout, the inherited fist technique that had overdrawn a portion of the ancestral wizard's bloodline quickly condensed into a tall and sturdy middle-aged man with a well-defined face and a boundless ancient aura. The tall and sturdy middle-aged man that was condensed from the fist technique roared towards the sky. Then, he waved his huge fist and charged towards Bai Qi's illusion. Murderous thoughts. Murderous sorrow, murderous fear, murderous shock. Looking at the tall and sturdy middle-aged man that was charging towards him, Bai Qi's illusion could not help but change his expression. As he roared in a low voice, he waved his hands and released 4 streaks of sharp sword Qi. Unfortunately, just as the power of the 4 sharp sword beams was beginning to affect the emotions of the people present, The burly middle-aged man, who was closing in on them, not only waved his fist to disperse the 4 sharp sword beams, his valiant body also knocked Bai Chi's silhouette several steps back. Seeing that the illusion of the ancestor was gradually at a disadvantage under the fierce attacks of the tall and sturdy middle-aged man, Bai Dongsheng, who had fused his origin power, soul power, and law energy in his natal sword, immediately used the heaven-rank peak sword technique that Bai Chi had created. Kill. Just as Bai Dongsheng was fusing his origin power and soul power, Yu Haoran could clearly feel the fluctuation of energy. After giving the command to the tall and sturdy middle-aged man, he directly used the ancestral witch's fist technique to counter Bai Dongsheng's heaven-rank peak sword technique. Fist suppressing the earth. Bai Dongsheng had fused all of his origin power and soul power into his sword technique, as well as the law of slaughter. Its might had reached the peak of a first-grade martial honorable, slightly stronger than Yu Haoran's fist technique. However, there was a huge gap between a natal ritual weapon of the Saint Realm and a natal ritual weapon of the Venerable Realm. Bai Dongsheng was instantly injured, and his natal ritual weapon was slightly damaged. At the same time, Bai Chi's silhouette was powerless to resist the burly middle-aged man's powerful fleshly body attack. In the end, it was forcibly dispersed. After severely injuring Bai Dongsheng with one move, Yu Haoran did not follow up with another attack to kill him. Instead, he waved his hand to disperse the burly middle-aged man formed by the fist technique, before he slowly landed on the arena and said with an indifferent expression, "You've lost. You can admit defeat now. You won't kill me." Originally, Bai Dongsheng had intended to overdraft all of his strength and lifespan to unleash the last of his strength. However, after Yu Haoran took the initiative to remind him, Bai Dongsheng asked in confusion, "After all, the blood and flesh of Zheng Zhongning, Miao Zi, and the others, as well as the bloody mist that dyed the arena red, were still vivid in his mind." "That's right, I won't kill you," Yu Haoran replied with a nod. "Why?" Bai Dongsheng asked even more confusedly. "For the continuation of Senior Bai Chi's bloodline, and also for you, the younger generation, to restore the glory of your ancestors." Looking up at the position where Bai Chi's silhouette had been dispersed, Yu Haoran's eyes revealed a trace of sadness and expectation. Although Bai Chi had destroyed his martial God Dao foundation and chose to perish together with old man Yin Han in order to protect the billions of people in the ancient continent, under the manipulation of some people with ulterior motives, the world only remembered his evil deeds of slaughtering millions of people in one night, but forgot the selfless contributions he had made in the past. As a result, Bai Chi's descendants had always been hunted down. Even after the destruction of the ancient era, the world still did not forget Bai Chi's deeds of slaughter. As a result, Bai Chi's descendants were getting fewer and fewer. Otherwise, with nearly 100 years of experience in his previous life, it was impossible for him not to meet a descendant of Bai Chi. "Yu Xiang, thank you." Bai Dongsheng could feel Yu Haoran's anger at the injustice his ancestor had suffered, as well as his care and expectations for him as a descendant of his ancestor. After putting away his natal sword and supreme-grade Venerable Realm sword, Bai Dongsheng cupped his fists and thanked Yu Haoran. He then looked up at the list in the air and admitted defeat. "I admit defeat." After the little rainbow dragon finished the process of devouring, Bai Dongsheng nodded gratefully at Yu Haoran. Then, as he flew away from the arena, Yu Haoran used his divine sense to warn him. "Be careful." Bai Dongsheng's heart was filled with endless gratitude as he returned to his original spot. He immediately began to use the murderous aura in his body to repair his natal sword. After Bai Dongsheng left the arena, Yu Haoran took a deep breath. His eyes were filled with fierce murderous intent as he looked at Gu Sheng, who was still meditating with his eyes closed at the edge of the arena. "Yu Haoran, if you are still a man, you'd better not take the initiative to admit defeat." Gu Sheng, who was forcibly brought to the arena, slowly opened his eyes and looked at Yu Haoran. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly as he tried to provoke him. "How can I admit defeat when I haven't killed you yet?" Yu Haoran retorted with a sinister sneer. That's good. Gu Sheng nodded indifferently in the face of Yu Haoran's counterattack. Then he turned his head to look at the contestants who had admitted defeat under the arena. He then looked at the bloody mud and platform in the arena. Finally, he looked at Yu Haoran and said, Yu Haoran, the easy victories in the first 98 rounds have given you a sense of superiority that makes you look down on everything and feel that you're the only one who is superior. Gu Sheng, I think the evaluation of being arrogant and superiority seems to be more suitable for you. Gu Sheng seemed to be chatting casually, but in fact, it was a psychological attack. Although Yu Haoran disdained to use this kind of trick when he had the absolute strength to kill his opponent, he still wanted to see the means of the core disciples of the Gu family. After all, Gu Sheng was only one of the core disciples of the Gu family. He was not the most talented and powerful successor. Qianjin needed to understand Gu Sheng's means to estimate the temperament of the successor disciples of the Gu family. Yu Haoran, do you know what the most important thing in the Tianxin continent is? Just now, Yu Haoran had used his own attack to counterattack. Gu Sheng's expression didn't change at all. Gu Sheng's expression was still indifferent as he asked, Gu Sheng, do you want to talk about the bloodline inheritance? After hearing Gu Sheng's question, Yu Haoran turned his head to look at Qian Yuanjin and replied in a disdainful tone, Yes. Gu Sheng suddenly opened his eyes wide and took a step forward. A trace of ferocious aura rose from Gu Sheng's body. He said with a trace of arrogance, Only the successor who has the ancestral bloodline can see through the mystery of life and death and advance to the immortal martial god realm. Wrong. Yu Haoran also abruptly took a step forward and retorted with even more arrogance. Chapter 1404. In the Arena of the Hidden Dragon Fortress. Yu Haoran's arrogant counterattack made Qian Yuanjin clench his fists. Qian Tianyu, the most powerful warrior in the Qian family, who was ranked first among the top 10 wandering cultivators in the Tianxin continent, had said the same words as Yu Haoran at his coming-of-age ceremony. Also, this was the motto that encouraged the disciples of the Qian family to move forward. However, the other contestants under the arena and most of the powerful warriors in the stands all looked at Qian Yuanjin with disdain, just like Gu Sheng. Without the inheritance of the ancestors' bloodline, ordinary people couldn't understand the power of the bloodline inheritance and the incredible improvement in cultivation and strength. Yu Haoran, since you look down on the inheritance of the ancestors' bloodline, I, Gu Sheng, will show you how powerful the giant's bloodline is in the Middle Ages. Facing Yu Haoran's counterattack, Gu Sheng shouted back as he activated the ancestors' bloodline in his body. 1 meter per step. After Gu Sheng took the 13th step, he had reached a height of 13 meters, and his aura was no less than that of a peak second-level martial venerable. Then, he took out a pair of special gloves that were between the venerable realm and the emperor realm from his storage ring, and put them on his hands. With the help of the special gloves, Gu Sheng's aura was comparable to that of a peak 4th-level martial venerable. Then, he took out a fragrant pill from his storage ring and swallowed it. After that, his aura reached the peak of 5th-level martial venerable. Master, the giant's bloodline in this kid's body is just the offspring of an ordinary giant and an ordinary person. When Gu Sheng's aura reached the peak of 5th-level martial venerable, Yu Haoran was thinking about whether he should use the dual laws of life and death, use the essence and blood of the mythical beast Kirin, or restore the body of the ancestral witch. Suddenly, the weapon spirit of the stick, which was put into the storage ring, reminded him, as long as you restore the body of the ancestral witch, this kid will be a piece of meat on the chopping board for you to slaughter. The suppression of bloodlines of the same origin. The weapon spirit's reminder reminded Yu Haoran of the suppression of bloodlines of the same origin that he had just received from the 12 ancestral witches. That's right. The cudgel artifact spirit replied with a gloating tone. If this brat were to rely on his own strength and martial skills, as well as special magic tools and medicinal pills, he would still not be Master's match. However, he would at least be able to exchange a few blows with Master before losing. Right now, he can only obediently wait to be slaughtered. Since Yu Haoran could easily suppress and kill the arrogant Gu Sheng after he recovered his ancestral wizard body, he did not need to consider the life and death law martial techniques and the divine beast Kirin's blood essence. Yu Haoran, facing me who could display the strength of a peak 5th grade martial saint. Do you feel fear and dread? Do you regret killing my brother Gu Li? Do you want to kneel and beg for mercy? Gu Sheng, who had always been very calm, felt the great strength brought about by the ancestral bloodline, the special magic tool, and the medicinal pill. Now, he was so proud of himself that he lost himself in flaunting. Gu Sheng, only when you can truly control your power can you unleash its full potential. In the face of Gu Sheng's complacent flaunting, Yu Haoran put away the glove magical equipment that he had put on earlier. While teaching him like an elder, he began to restore the body of ancestral wizard. Yu Haoran, you can only be stubborn now. In the face of Yu Haoran's teaching like an elder, Gu Sheng laughed proudly and began to mock him. However, when Yu Haoran's body began to grow rapidly, a suppression from the bloodline made him unable to continue mocking him. It was different from Gu Sheng's transformation, which was 1 meter per step. In less than a second, Yu Haoran had completely restored his ancestral wizard height of nearly 2,000 meters. At this time, not to mention that the people present were like tiny ants in his eyes, even Gu Sheng, who was 13 meters tall, was only a slightly bigger ant. Feeling the ancient aura that was exuding from Yu Haoran's body, a peerless top martial saint from the top of the north stand had a look of reminiscence in his eyes. A giant with the noble bloodline in the Middle Ages. When he recalled the information about the giants in the Middle Ages recorded in a jade slip, the peerless top martial saint instinctively thought that Yu Haoran might be the same as Gu Sheng, with the noble bloodline of the giants in his body. However, when Yu Haoran looked at the people present and revealed the indifference of indifference to all living things, the peerless top martial saint immediately overturned his instinctive guess and continued to recall the special physique that could transform 1,000 meters. Could it be? When he suddenly remembered that when he was a child, his mother had told him the story of Panga's creation when she was coaxing him to sleep, he suddenly stood up with an incredulous look in his eyes. "Brother Jean, what's wrong with you?" Another peerless top martial saint asked with confusion in his eyes. "Nothing." The other party's question immediately woke the peerless top martial saint with the surname Jean from his shock. Then, he quickly shook his head to indicate that he was fine. At the same time, he could not help but speculate in his heart. If Elixir Emperor Yu really has the legendary physique, then just by relying on the cultivation of his physical body, he will definitely become a peerless godly state expert in the future. Moreover, with his mysterious and unfathomable talent and ability in alchemy, his martial cultivation may also reach the level of his physical body in the future. If my Jin clan wants to continue to pass on in this great calamity of the world, I'm afraid that just not offending Elixir Emperor Yu will not be enough. It seems that we must use some unconventional methods. When he thought of this, the peerless top martial saint with the surname Jin looked at Qin Lingfei and Yusiki with a special smile in his eyes. The suppression of the bloodline and the suppression of the height made Gu Sheng unable to ask whether Yu Haoran was a member of the Gu clan that had been left behind. Seeing that Gu Sheng was completely suppressed by the bloodline of the witch ancestor and could not even say a word, Yu Haoran had a stomach full of mocking and ridiculing words, but he was in no mood to say them. He raised his huge foot that was like a mountain and then ruthlessly stepped on Gu Sheng, who could not dodge at all. Boom! As the huge foot that was like a mountain landed heavily on the arena, the entire Hidden Dragon fortress suddenly resounded with a deafening roar. Yu Haoran lifted the left foot that was stepping on Gu Sheng and quickly dispersed the transformation of the witch ancestor. Then he looked at Gu Sheng, who had been stepped into a pool of blood, and could not help but sigh. Chapter 14:05. In the arena of the Hidden Dragon Castle. He had not only passed the 98 rounds, but also won all of them. He had already become the champion of the Hidden Dragon ranking in the southern region. At the same time, the seven-color dragon inside his body had reached 198 meters long. According to the previous hidden dragon ranking competitions in the southern region, the seven-color dragon inside the champion's body, which represented the hidden dragon fortune, would change both quantitatively and qualitatively. This was also the real reason why Yuhauran was so expectantly watching the ranking list. Unfortunately, as the names of the contestants on the ranking list began to float, a new round of competition was about to begin. Even after an irresistible force forced him out of the arena, the seven-color dragon inside his body didn't change at all. He'll emperor you, don't worry. The seven-color dragon condensed from the hidden dragon fortune will be redistributed and upgraded according to the ranking list after the competition. Seeing Yuhauran's gloomy and displeased expression after being forcefully expelled from the arena, the purple-clothed, middle-aged expert hurriedly used his divine telekinesis to remind him. After all, ever since the hidden dragon ranking competitions were held, there had never been a case like Yuhauran who could become the champion in the early stages of the competition. Thank you, Amethyst Elder, for reminding me. After expressing his gratitude through spiritual power, Yuhauran walked quickly to Qin Ling Fei and the others, and told them to be careful in the following competitions. He also asked Wu Jingjun not to kill his opponents unless he had no other choice. After that, he directly sat on the ground with his legs bent and legs crossed, and began to use the special power generated by the hidden dragon fortune in his body to speed up the process of inheriting the memories of the 12 ancestors of Magi, as well as learning the fist, palm, and stick skills. At the same time, Thowling in his spiritual sea immediately returned to the top floor of the Victor building and started to heal his spiritual body with the help of the purple thunderbolts suppressed in the Victor building. The reason why Thowling was in such a hurry to heal his spiritual body was that he wanted to wake up before Yuhauran went to the Qian family in the central region. This was because the cave abode left behind by the plum blossom old man during the Middle Ages not only contained the opportunity to help his second clone become a formation emperor, but also the fragment of a Khanate supreme treasure. If the truth was as he had guessed, then only by recovering his demigod divine soul body would he be able to obtain the fragment of that supreme artifact. In the 98 rounds, a total of 10 people had died at the hands of Yuhauran, including Ma Baohua, who had died at the hands of Wu Jingjun. There were still 88 contestants left. Although the number of contestants had decreased by a lot, they didn't have someone like Yuhauran who had absolute strength to intimidate them. So the number of opponents who could take the initiative to admit defeat was also much fewer. This was especially true for opponents of the same cultivation level and strength. They would need to exchange over 100 blows before a victor could be decided. Therefore, the time spent in each round of the finals was much longer than the 98 rounds Yuhauran had participated in. 3 days and 3 nights. The 87 rounds of the finals took a total of 3 days and 3 nights before the finals of the Southern Region Hidden Dragon Leaderboard finally came to an end. Yuhauran temporarily stopped accepting the inheritance of the 12 ancient witches' memories. He stood up and looked up at the leaderboard that was covered by the 7-colored light in midair. There was a look of anticipation in his eyes. He was looking forward to the moment when the leaderboard was revealed. He was looking forward to the final rankings of Qin Ling Fei, Yusiki, the Sword Without Trace, Kong Yunga, and Wu Jingjun. He was also looking forward to the ultimate qualitative change that would happen to the 7-colored giant dragon that was condensed from the dragon blessing in his body. In every round that had taken place earlier, every contestant was very clear about the number of rounds they had won, and the final rankings were also very clear. However, they were still looking at the leaderboard very nervously, looking forward to whether there would be a miracle. Countless experts in the spectator stands were also looking at the leaderboard with anticipation and nervousness in their eyes. They wanted to see the final rankings of their elite disciples and how much of the dragon blessing they would receive in return from the leaderboard. The crowd did not have to wait very long. The 7-colored light that shrouded the leaderboard began to disappear bit by bit, gradually revealing the final rankings. However, as the 7-colored light gradually disappeared from the bottom of the leaderboard, The leaderboard was first shown to the crowd in reverse order. 88th place, Wang Qing. After seeing his final ranking on the leaderboard, although Wang Qing already knew the result, he could not help but clench his fists in excitement. According to his cultivation and strength, it was already a fluke for him to be able to make it to the finals of the Hidden Dragon leaderboard and receive the blessing of the Dragon Blessing. He did not expect a higher ranking at all. However, he never expected that not only would he make it to the finals, but he would also be ranked 88th on the leaderboard. All the credit went to those two people. Wang Qing looked at Yu Haoran and Wu Zhengjun, who were not far away from the leaderboard. His eyes were filled with gratitude. 87th place, I, Bai Junhan, am ranked 87th on the leaderboard, standing only 3 meters away from Wang Qing. A young man also clenched his fists in excitement and cast a grateful look at Yu Haoran and Wu Zhengjun. 86th place, I, Jin Xian, am ranked 86th on the leaderboard. 85th place, I'm ranked in history. 84th place, I, 83rd. 47th place. After seeing the final ranking of the familiar name on the leaderboard, the yellow-clothed girl turned to the white-haired old man with her fists clenched tightly. Her eyes were filled with excitement. Fifth Grandpa, Brother Yan's final ranking is 47th, which is basically the same as what you predicted at the beginning. After nodding in response to the yellow-clothed girl's excited cry, the white-haired old man looked directly at Yu Haoran and Wu Zhengjun, who were also looking at the leaderboard in the central square. The fierceness and cruelty of this year's Hidden Dragon List competition, as well as the background and strength of the contestants, were far beyond the white-haired old man's expectations. For example, the Gu brothers, the descendant of Bai Qi, the killing god, and Xia Gu Fengzi, the son of the Xia clan's patriarch, were not on the list of contestants collected by the Huang clan. According to Huang Yan's temperament and strength, his final ranking on the leaderboard should be over 60th place. He was lucky enough to make it to the top 50, mainly thanks to Yu Haoran and Wu Zhengjun. If Yu Haoran had not killed 9 peerless and monstrous experts who were far more powerful than Huang Yan in the tag team competition, Huang Yan would not have been able to make it. If Wu Zhengjun had not been so ruthless, severely injuring 7 peerless and monstrous experts who were stronger than Huang Yan would not have made it to the top 50. Chapter 1406. In the central square of the Hidden Dragon Fortress, 32nd place. When he saw Qin Lingfei's final rank, Yu Haoran's eyes flashed with disappointment and dissatisfaction. He was disappointed that Qin Lingfei's rank was too low and that she could only receive the blessing of the Hidden Dragon Providence. This was not beneficial for the Hidden Dragon ranking in the 5 regions in a month. He was also dissatisfied with the contestants who were afraid of his strength and admitted defeat before they even fought. It was because of them that Qin Lingfei lost the hope of reaching a higher rank. Prince Consort, I'm already very satisfied to be able to reach the finals and receive the blessing of the Hidden Dragon Providence. I don't dare to hope for too many benefits beyond my strength. After seeing her final rank, Qin Lingfei immediately turned her head to observe Yu Haoran's reaction. She saw disappointment and dissatisfaction in his eyes and immediately tried to persuade him. Lingfei, I originally had the opportunity to let you rank higher and receive more blessing of the Hidden Dragon Providence, but I didn't grasp it properly. I'm sorry. If it weren't for the fact that he wanted to hide more strength and trump cards and directly use the dual laws of life and death, many contestants wouldn't even have a chance to admit defeat. Thus, when faced with Qin Lingfei's persuasion, Yu Haoran felt very self-reproachful. Prince Consort, as long as I can accompany you to the Hidden Dragon ranking in the 5 regions, I'm already satisfied. I don't care about the rank or the amount of the Hidden Dragon Providence. Qin Lingfei reached out and hugged Yu Haoran's arm. She leaned her head on his shoulder and spoke softly. Yu Haoran didn't know what to say about Qin Lingfei's overly satisfied attitude. He could only shake his head and smile bitterly. Prince Consort, look, sister is ranked 29th. Leaning on Yu Haoran's broad shoulder, Qin Lingfei stared at the ranking list from the corner of her eye. When she saw Yusiki's name appear on the list, she immediately reminded him in surprise. It's all right. Although Yu Haoran was also a little dissatisfied with his sister's final ranking. After Qin Lingfei's persuasion and the surprise on his sister's face, he finally nodded without too much disappointment. After that, he accompanied Qin Lingfei to continue watching the changes in the rankings. However, when he saw that Kang Yung-ah was ranked 10th on the list, he could not help but glance at her sleeve. With Kang Yung-ah's cultivation and strength, not to mention ranking 10th in the finals, she probably wouldn't even be able to enter the second round of the semifinals. The reason why she was able to achieve such shocking results was all because of Wind-tailed Fox, who usually hid in her sleeves. However, even if he consecutively killed Zheng Zhongning, Miao Zihai, and Gu Sheng with Wind-tailed Fox's strength that was barely at the level of a first-grade martial honorable, it would still be difficult for him to enter the 10th place. It seemed that in the last few rounds of the competition, Wind-tailed Fox must have devoured a part of the 8-tailed green fox's blood. Otherwise, it would definitely not be able to defeat the contestants ranked 17th to 11th. Just as Yu Haoran's gaze returned to the ranking, he was immediately attracted by the name of the contestant ranked 9th. Wang Chuantao, the one who took the initiative to challenge the 9th courtyard and injured Wu Xingjun. The reason why Wang Chuantao's ranking surprised him was because he was originally ranked 31st. This time, he had directly rushed to 9th place. Although the reason why his ranking rose so high was because he had killed Gu Sheng and the others, it was probably also related to the strength that this person had been hiding. Of course, the 9th place on the ranking list did not have the strength to threaten or challenge him. Therefore, Yu Haoran was only slightly surprised and continued to look at the ranking list after it was revealed. The contestant ranked 8th on the ranking list was Yuan Lixing, who was originally ranked 6th. His ranking had dropped by 2 places. The contestant ranked 7th on the ranking list was Zhu Xianbin, who was originally ranked 5th. His ranking had also dropped by 2 places. The contestant ranked 6th on the ranking list was Summer Valley Fengze, who was originally ranked 4th. His ranking had also dropped by 2 places. The contestant ranked 5th on the ranking list was Bai Dongsheng, who was originally ranked 2nd. The reason why Bai Dongsheng's ranking had dropped by 3 places was not only because he had condensed the shadow of Ancestor by Qi with his blood essence, but also because his natal sword had been slightly damaged. This caused him to be unable to exert his full strength, which caused him to lose to Wu Xingjun, the sword without trace, and Qian Yuanjin. The contestant ranked 4th on the ranking list was Qian Yuanjin, who was originally ranked 3rd. He had successively fallen to Wu Xingjun and the sword without trace. When the ranking list was revealed, the speed at which the colorful light was disappearing suddenly stopped. Although the audience had already known the top 3 contestants and their rankings, they still subconsciously became nervous. The colorful light only stopped for 3 seconds before it began to slowly disappear again. Then, the contestant ranked 3rd on the ranking list was gradually revealed, the sword without trace. It's a pity for Sister Traceless. With the help of the sword formation gifted by Yu Haoran, the sword without trace was finally ranked 3rd on the ranking list. In this regard, Qin Lingfei did not have the slightest envy or jealousy. Instead, she could not help but feel wronged for her. Prince Consort, in fact, with Sister Traceless strength and the power of the ultimate swordsmanship, she definitely could have defeated Xingjun. But she took the initiative to admit defeat because of you. In the face of Qin Lingfei's accusation, Wu Xingjun did not dare to refute, except for a wry smile. After all, Qin Lingfei was his sister-in-law and the most beloved wife of Yu Xixiang, the only person he respected the most. Princess Lingfei, in fact, with Brother Wu's strength and the strangeness of the blood-swallowing magic weapon. Even if Traceless had the help of the ultimate swordsmanship, she would have lost without a doubt. He first looked at Yu Haoran, who had a faint smile on his face, and then explained to Qin Lingfei with a smile. Sister Traceless, you don't have to speak for Xingjun. In my eyes, you are stronger than him. You took the initiative to admit defeat because of Prince Consort. In the face of the sword, without Trace's explanation, Qin Lingfei did not change her opinion. Instead, she was almost making a fuss. Lingfei, don't make a fuss. Wu Zhengjun didn't take the initiative to refute because he respected and obeyed Yu Haoran. However, Yu Haoran couldn't let his brother suffer injustice. So, he immediately put away the smile on his face and explained with a serious expression. Actually, Traceless was right. Even with the help of the ultimate swordsmanship, she was not a match for Zhengjun. Chapter 1407. In the central square of the Hidden Dragon Fortress, Yu Haoran looked up at the list and found that the seven-colored light had stopped disappearing. He took the opportunity to introduce the list to Qin Lingfei. With the special constitution of the Peak of the Bloodthirsty Realm and the Blood Devourer Saber, Zhengjun can display the strength of a peak 3rd grade martial venerable. As for Wu Hin, she just got the limitless divine sword. Not only did she not train it well enough, but the feeling and coordination between them were far from perfect. At most, she can only display the strength of a peak 2nd grade martial venerable. So, Wu Hin was right to admit defeat. Zhengjun, I'm sorry. It's my fault. The simplest and most direct comparison of strength made Qin Lingfei realize that she was being unreasonable, and she immediately apologized to Wu Zhengjun. Sister-in-law, I'm fine. Although Wu Zhengjun wasn't angry because of Qin Lingfei's unreasonable accusations, he was still very happy to receive an apology from her. Hence, he quickly waved his hand and gestured. Zhengjun's ranking is out. Yusiki, who had been paying attention to the changes of the list, immediately reminded him in surprise. After seeing Wu Zhengjun's ranking, Meng Zhengkai could not help but exclaim to Emperor Qin, Your Majesty, God bless our great Emperor Qin. Yu Haoran, who was ranked 1st, was the only son-in-law of Emperor Qin's kingdom. Wu Zhengjun, who was ranked 2nd, was an official soldier of Emperor Qin's kingdom. Qin Lingfei, who was ranked 32nd, was the most favored princess of Emperor Qin's kingdom. Qin Yuhai, who was ranked 77th, was the son of Emperor Qin's kingdom's princely Feng. He was Emperor Qin's nephew. Emperor Qin's kingdom not only occupied 4 of the top 100 spots in this year's Hidden Dragon ranking, but also occupied the champion and the runner-up. This would be an unimaginable boost to Emperor Qin's reputation, foundation, and potential. Moreover, with the powerful strength displayed by Yu Haoran and Wu Zhengjun, they would probably obtain a good ranking in the 5 regions Hidden Dragon ranking competition. They would be able to obtain more Hidden Dragon providence for the Emperor Qin kingdom. Yeah, Emperor Qin nodded in agreement with Meng Zhengkai's heartfelt sigh. However, when he thought of Qin Tianyi, who was put into the storage ring, a trace of sadness and regret appeared in his eyes. If Qin Tianyi and Qin Mingho had not betrayed the great Emperor Qin kingdom, with the strength they had shown, they would definitely be able to reach the top 10 of the list. If the result was as he imagined, then the great Emperor Qin kingdom would occupy 4 of the top 10 spots in the southern region Hidden Dragon ranking competition. This would have unimaginable benefits for the great Emperor Qin kingdom. However, the death of Qin Tianyi and Qin Mingho could only make imagination forever remain imagination. In fact, it was not only Emperor Qin and Meng Zhengkai who sighed that the heavens blessed the great Emperor Qin kingdom. After the list revealed Wu Zhengjun's ranking, countless experts in the surrounding stands could not help but feel envy and jealousy towards Emperor Qin. They were jealous that Yu Haoran was the only prince consort of the Emperor Qin kingdom, and that Wu Zhengjun was the most outstanding soldier of the Emperor Qin kingdom. They were jealous that the great Emperor Qin kingdom could receive a huge amount of hidden dragon luck in return, allowing the great Emperor Qin kingdom to truly surpass the strength of the 2 empires in the northern region and the eastern region, becoming a force that could truly stand shoulder to shoulder with the 7 top sections. However, whether it was Emperor Qin, Meng Zhengkai, the countless experts in the surrounding stands, or Yu Haoran who was waiting for his ranking to be revealed, none of them realized it. In fact, The biggest beneficiary of this year's Southern Region Hidden Dragon ranking competition was not the Great Emperor Qin Kingdom, but the 100 Qi Gate, which had almost fallen to a third-rate sect. This was because regardless of whether it was Yu Haoren, Wu Jingjun, or the Sword Without Trace, who were ranked in the top 3, or Kong Yong'er, who was ranked 10th, they were all official disciples of the 100 Qi Gate. The benefits of the huge amount of hidden dragon luck would fundamentally change all aspects of the 100 Qi Gate. If Yu Haoren and the other 3 could continue to perform outstandingly in the 5 regions hidden dragon ranking competition, the 100 Qi Gate would definitely be able to become a first-rate sect in the Tianqian continent in the future. If Yu Haoren and the other 3 were willing to return to the 100 Qi Gate, they would have the potential and strength to become a first-rate sect in the future. Compared to the exclamations caused by the announcement of the 2nd to 88th place on the ranking list, the moment the champion was announced, everyone's reaction was as calm as still water. The reason was that Yu Haoren's performance was too shocking. In everyone's subconscious mind, he was already the champion. After the ranking list revealed all the contestants' final rankings, the 7-color dragon head that had disappeared reappeared in front of the ranking list. Then, when the 7-color dragon head looked at Wang Qing, who was ranked 88th on the ranking list, the giant 7-color dragon that represented the hidden dragon luck in Wang Qing's body immediately flew out. However, the giant 7-color dragon, which was originally 100 meters long, was now only 15 meters long. This also meant that he had not won a single battle in the finals. Looking at the 15-meter giant 7-color dragon that was hovering above Wang Qing's head, the giant dragon that was condensed by the hidden dragon luck shot out a beam of 7-colored light that directly merged with the giant 7-color dragon's body. Roar! The 15-meter giant 7-color dragon that had merged with the 7-colored light roared into the sky. Then its body began to expand and become longer. Soon, it became a giant 7-color dragon that was 150 meters long. Then, a giant 7-color dragon that was only 16 meters long also flew out of the body of the 87th place contestant. After merging with the 7-colored light that shot out from the dragon's eyes, it roared into the sky and became a giant 7-color dragon that was 160 meters long. After the contestants received the hidden dragon luck reward one after another, giant 7-color dragons that were longer than the previous one coiled above the hidden dragon fortress. Roar! When a giant 7-color dragon that was 100 meters long flew out of the body of the 50th place contestant and merged with the 7-colored light that shot out from the giant dragon's eyes, it roared and became a giant 7-color dragon that was 1,000 meters long. Finally, the audience began to exclaim. However, when the giant 7-color dragon flew out of Kong Yong'er's body, the giant dragon's eyes that were condensed by the hidden dragon luck did not shoot out the 7-colored light immediately. Instead, the purple-robed middle-aged powerhouse that was standing respectfully next to the purple-robed dragon throne raised his hand and sucked at the list that was in midair. Then, a giant 7-color dragon that was only 21 meters long was sucked out of the list. The purple-robed middle-aged powerhouse pointed at the giant 7-color dragon that was hovering above Kong Yong'er's head and ordered go. Roar! The giant 7-color dragon that was 21 meters long roared into the sky. Then, it quickly rushed to the giant 7-color dragon that was hovering above Kong Yong'er's head. Then, the two 7-color dragons began to merge directly. In the end, what appeared in front of everyone was a giant 7-color dragon that was 200 meters long with a handsome and majestic appearance. Chapter 1408. In the central square of the Hidden Dragon Fortress. Roar! As the 7-color dragon merged with the 7-colored light, it roared and quickly turned into a 2,000-meter-long 7-color dragon. An ordinary martial venerable from the north side of the stands sighed with envy as he watched the 2,000-meter-long 7-colored giant dragon flying above the Hidden Dragon Fortress. I wonder what kind of heaven-defying changes this 2,000-meter-long 7-colored dragon will bring to this little girl named Kong Young. After that, the contestants ranked from the 9th to the 4th on the ranking list also had their 7 color dragons sucked out by the purple-clothed middle-aged man. He helped them make up for the length of their 7 color dragons and helped them complete the transformation of their 7 color dragons. However, the 7 color dragons that represented the hidden dragon providence only grew by 1 meter. However, when the 187-meter-long 7 color dragon flew out of the sword without Trace's body, the 7 color dragon that the purple-clothed middle-aged man sucked out from the ranking list reached 113 meters. This made the 7 color dragon 300 meters long after the fusion. After successfully merging with the 7-colored light from the hidden dragon providence, the 7-color dragon that belonged to the sword without Trace reached an astonishing length of 3,000 meters. Looking at the 3,000-meter-long 7-color dragon coiling above the hidden dragon fortress, Qian Yuanjin, who ranked 4th on the list, and Yuan Lixing, who ranked 9th on the list, all revealed looks of envy and jealousy. When the 189-meter-long 7-color dragon flew out of Wu Zhengjuan's body, the 7-color dragon that the purple-clothed middle-aged man sucked out from the ranking list reached a length of 311 meters. This made the 7-color dragon 400 meters long after the fusion. After successfully merging with the 7-colored light from the hidden dragon providence, the 7-color dragon that belonged to Wu Zhengjun reached a terrifying length of 4,000 meters. However, the audience didn't sigh or envy Wu Zhengjuan's opportunity. They all focused on Yu Haoran and wanted to see how many meters the purple-clothed middle-aged man would add to his 7-color dragon. His gaze swept across the countless spectators around the stands and the 88 contestants in the central square. A smile appeared on the purple-clothed, middle-aged expert's face as he raised his hands. Then, he sucked out a 7-colored giant dragon with a body of 702 meters from the list. 900 meters, 9,000 meters. It seems that the hidden dragon providence's reward for the champion is the same as before. After seeing that the 7-color dragon that the purple-clothed middle-aged man sucked out from the ranking list could only make Yu Haoran's 7-color dragon reach 900 meters long, the audience couldn't help but feel disappointed. Because the purple-clothed middle-aged man had added the length of the 7-color dragon's body, the treatment was exactly the same as the previous champions. This meant that Yu Haoran, who had worked so hard to secure the championship in advance through the 98 consecutive battles, didn't receive any special treatment at all. However, the 7-color dragon head's next action immediately replaced the disappointment in the hearts of the audience with anticipation. Roar! When the 7-color dragon coiled above Yu Haoran's head reached 900 meters long, the huge dragon eyes condensed by the hidden dragon providence didn't immediately shoot out 7-colored light. Instead, it raised its huge dragon head and roared at the ranking list. As the 7-color dragon head's roar resounded through the clouds, a 7-color dragon gradually extended from the ranking list, making the countless experts at the scene nervous and expectant. Continue. When the 7-color dragon extended from the ranking list reached 10 meters long, the audience began to cheer softly. They were cheering for Yu Haoran, as well as for the 7-color dragons that kept jumping out of the rankings. Continue. When the 7-color dragon extended from the ranking list reached 30 meters long, more and more people began to cheer. Continue. When the 7-color dragon extended from the ranking list reached 50 meters long, everyone at the scene couldn't help but join in. The cheers were deafening. However, when the 7-color dragon extended from the ranking list reached 90 meters long, the cheers suddenly disappeared. All the top martial venerables at the top of the spectator stand couldn't help but stand up. The 7-color dragon that Elixir Emperor you obtained in the end can't be 10,000 meters long, right? One of the top martial venerables couldn't help but mutter to himself as he watched the 7-color dragon's body continue to grow. When the 7-color dragon extended from the ranking list reached 99 meters long, it suddenly stopped moving. This made the 7-color dragon's huge dragon eyes flash with displeasure. Roar! Then, It raised its head and continued to let out a roar that resounded through the clouds. Then, the seven-color dragon that had stopped moving successfully left the ranking list. Its body also reached 100 meters long. When the seven-color dragon that had left the ranking list merged with the seven-color dragon that was coiled above Yu Haoran's head, a seven-colored light shot out from the seven-color dragon's eyes. Roar! The seven-color dragon that had rapidly expanded to 10,000 meters long let out a deafening roar into the sky. Accompanied by the deafening roar, all the seven-color dragons that were coiled above the hidden dragon fortress began to tremble. They all lowered their huge heads as if they were welcoming an emperor. The 10,000-meter-long seven-color dragon suddenly landed on the arena. Then, it looked at Yu Haoran, who was standing below the arena, with a human-like look in its eyes. "You guys wait here for now." Yu Haoran turned his head to instruct Qin Lingfei and the rest. Then, he leaped into the air and landed on the seven-color dragon's head. Compared to the 10,000-meter-long dragon, his height of 8 meters was like an ant compared to a mountain. However, Yu Haoran, who was standing upright on the dragon's head, gave off an extremely majestic feeling. This made everyone subconsciously ignore the 10,000-meter-long seven-color dragon. They only paid attention to the young man in blue standing on the dragon's head. Roar! After roaring at all the contestants below the arena, the seven-color dragon swung its tail and charged directly into the sky above the hidden dragon fortress. When it was 10,000 meters above the hidden dragon fortress, the seven-color dragon stopped swinging its tail and floated quietly in the air. Yu Haoran just stood on the dragon's head calmly and looked in the direction of the central region. Roar! They didn't have to wait for long before a dragon's roar came from the north. Along with the giant dragon's roar, a seven-color dragon shadow that was only 9,000 meters long suddenly appeared about 30,000 meters away from Yu Haoran. Roar! After seeing the seven-color dragon shadow that appeared in front of him, the seven-color dragon under Yu Haoran's feet immediately raised its head and roared at him. Chapter 1409. In the sky above the hidden dragon fortress in the northern region, a black-clothed, long-haired young man who was also standing on the dragon's head asked with a displeased expression. The seven-color dragon's body was actually 10,000 meters long, which was a full 1,000 meters longer than the seven-color dragon he was standing on. "Boy, why is the seven-color dragon under your feet 10,000 meters long?" In the sky above the hidden dragon fortress in the southern region. After hearing the question of the black-clothed, long-haired young man, Yu Haoran's mouth curled up slightly. "That's because I'm more handsome than you, so the hidden dragon providence treats me better." Seeing that Yu Haoran dared to tease him, the long-haired young man in black immediately shouted angrily, "Boy, you're asking for death. TSK, come at me." Yu Haoran taunted fearlessly. Roar! 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 Just as the long-haired young man in black above the hidden dragon fortress in the northern region was about to control the seven-color dragon to rush to the southern region, 3 pure dragon roars sounded in the sky above the hidden dragon fortress in the northern region. As the 3 pure dragon roars sounded, a 9,000-meter-long seven-color dragon appeared 30,000 meters to the east of Yu Haoran. A young man in a green Taoist robe stood on the dragon's head. He looked peaceful and gave off a very comfortable feeling. Then, another 9,000-meter-long seven-color dragon appeared 30,000 meters to the west of him. A bald young man in a golden robe sat cross-legged on the dragon's head. In just 3 seconds, a 9,000-meter-long seven-color dragon appeared 15,000 meters in front of Yu Haoran. A young girl in a white dress with a veil covering her face was standing on the dragon's head. She looked like a fairy in the clouds. "Senior brother, why is the seven-color dragon under your feet 10,000 meters long?" The young man in a green Taoist robe asked in confusion. "Benefactor, why is the seven-color dragon beneath your feet different from my seven-color dragon?" The golden-robed, bald young man's questioning voice came from the west. "Give me a reasonable explanation." The white fairy's cold voice came from right in front of him. senior brother from the eastern region, senior brother from the western region, and senior sister from the central region. Yu Haoran cupped his hands at the green-robed young man, the golden-robed young man, and the white-robed fairy. Then, he pointed at the black-robed young man from the northern region. This prince consort has already answered this senior brother from the northern region's question. The seven-colored giant dragon under junior brother's feet will reach 10,000 meters. It's mainly because I'm too handsome, suave, and elegant. It can be said that everyone loves me and flowers bloom when they see me. Even a hidden dragon Providence has no choice but to look up to me. At the same time, it also gives the five of us different treatment. Hearing Yu Haoran's nonsensical teasing, the people in the southern region's hidden dragon fortress who were familiar with his style burst into laughter. Qinling Fei and Yusiki couldn't help but pat their foreheads with their jade-like hands, looking rather speechless and helpless. However, to the people in the hidden dragon fortress of the other four regions, they were completely confused by his boastful words. Senior brother, you must be joking. The young man in a Taoist robe couldn't help but shake his head and smile bitterly at Yu Haoran's teasing. Senior brother, if you want to talk nonsense, the young man in a golden robe replied. Oomph. The white fairy in a disdainful tone replied. Yu Haoran was a cautious person, so he wouldn't joke around with these four people whom he had never met before. However, the four people in front of him were like him. They were the champions of the hidden dragon rankings in their respective regions, and they were his biggest opponents in this competition. The nonsensical teasing just now was actually a ploy to test the opponent's character in advance. The final result of the test made him very satisfied. Boy, just you wait. When the hidden dragon rankings competition starts, I'll definitely take your skull and use it as my drinking vessel. Yu Haoran's mocking of the other three made the black-clothed, long-haired youth's anger dissipate a little. However, when he thought about how he, the most talented and promising young demon lord of the heavenly demon sect, had been played by a country bumpkin from the southern region, the young man in black was still angry. When he signaled the rainbow dragon to return to the hidden dragon fortress, he left behind some threatening words. Although I'm not interested in your skull, if you insist on seeking death, I don't mind taking your skull and soul. Yu Haoran replied fearlessly in the face of the black-robed young man's threat. Senior brother from the southern region, I'll see you in the arena of the hidden dragon rankings competition. The young man in Taoist robes also signaled the rainbow dragon to return to the hidden dragon fortress in the eastern region. Then, he cupped his hands at Yu Haoran. Senior brother from the eastern region, I'll see you in the arena. Yu Haoran also cupped his hands. Senior brother from the western region, senior sister from the central region, I'll see you in the arena of the hidden dragon rankings competition. The young man in Taoist robes didn't just invite Yu Haoran. He also invited the bald young man in gold and the white fairy. Senior brother from the eastern region, I'll see you in the arena. The bald young man in gold put his hands together. Umph! This was the white fairy's response. After the rainbow dragon took the young man back to the hidden dragon fortress in the eastern region, the bald young man in gold put his hands together and said goodbye to Yu Haoran and the white fairy. Senior brother from the southern region, senior sister from the central region, I'll take my leave first. I won't see you out. Yu Haoran calmly cupped his hands in return. The white fairy only coldly glanced at the bald young man in gold and didn't say anything. After the rainbow dragon took the bald young man back to the hidden dragon fortress in the western region, the atmosphere above the hidden dragon fortress in the five regions suddenly quieted down. Yu Haoran and the white fairy looked at each other without saying a word. They were both waiting for the other to say goodbye first or return to the hidden dragon fortresses in their respective regions. After looking at each other for nearly half an hour, the people in the hidden dragon fortress in the five regions were getting impatient. In the end, Yu Haoran had no choice but to tell the rainbow dragon to return to the hidden dragon fortress in the southern region. Yu Haoran, wait a moment. Just as the rainbow dragon was about to return to the hidden dragon fortress, the white fairy suddenly asked it to stay. What is it? Yu Haoran asked coldly as he signaled for the rainbow dragon to stop swinging its tail. Ignoring Yu Haoran's cold attitude, the white fairy suddenly suggested enthusiastically. "You Howren, why don't we make a bet on the final ranking of the 5 regions hidden dragon list? We're the stakes." You Howren didn't ask why the white fairy suddenly wanted to make a bet. He only cared about the stakes. Chapter 14:10. In the sky above the hidden dragon fortress. Howren was shocked when he heard the white fairy mention 2 types of spirit liquids and 1 type of spirit water. 9 heavens jade essence liquid, 9 heavens supreme spirit liquid, and 9 deaths water, combined with the second tier, 9th level, 9 soul earth soul ginseng, the second tier, 9th level, 9 petal jade ganoderma, and the second tier, 9th level, 9 yang life fruit. He could create a rank 7 immortal spirit pill that could help Emperor Wu become a demigod. If he could use the first tier primordial profound ginseng and 9 heavens mysterious spirit dew, he could create a rank 9 immortal spirit pill that had a 10% chance of breaking through to the martial god realm. The fact that the white-clothed fairy from the central region used 3 kinds of spiritual liquids as a wager only meant that her clan had almighty experts who had reached the 9th grade martial emperor realm and alchemists who had reached the peak of pill emperor realm in alchemy. No. Then, Howren immediately overturned his previous speculation. If she had alchemists at the peak of the pill emperor realm in her family, she wouldn't need an outsider like him to refine 3 types of spirit liquids. If she didn't have alchemists at the peak of the pill emperor realm, why would she use these 3 types of spirit liquids as a wager? Could it be? A thought flashed through Howren's mind, and he finally guessed why she wanted to use these 3 types of spirit liquids as a wager. What if you lose? After confirming the other party's true intentions, although Howren had already decided to reject the other party's bet, he still wanted to hear the other party's wager if he failed. "If I lose, I'll marry you." Even though her face was covered by a white veil, the white fairy still blushed and lowered her head when she said that she was going to marry someone of a lower status. Qin Fei's face darkened when she heard that. Kong Yung even scolded her for being shameless. Even the sword without trace frowned. Only Yusiki's eyes lit up as she began to size up the white fairy, trying to see if her body was suitable for bearing children. Inside the hidden dragon fortress in the central region, after hearing the white fairy say the stakes of losing the bet, the countless experts in the spectator stands were dumbfounded. The eyes of the dozens of peerless and monstrous experts below the arena were filled with shock and anger. "Not interested," Howren replied indifferently as he signaled the 7-colored giant dragon under his feet to return to the hidden dragon fortress. "What?" Howren's reply stunned the white fairy. She questioned him with a hint of anger in her voice. "I'm not interested in you at all," Howren explained without turning around. "Howren, turn around and look at me." Howren's further explanation made the white fairy's anger disappear instantly. Then, she turned back to Howren and smiled as she reached out to take off the white silk veil on her face. The moment the white fairy took off the white veil, the atmosphere in the hidden dragon fortresses of the 5 regions froze because of the white fairy's vacuum. Qin Fei and Kong Yung in the hidden dragon fortress clenched their fists. Yusiki smiled with satisfaction, while the sword without trace shook his head and sighed. There was no beauty in 1,000 years, but she was pleasing to the eye. She was devastatingly beautiful and would shock everyone in the world. That was what Howren felt when he saw the white fairy's face. In terms of looks, the white-robed fairy's peerless beauty was in no way inferior to Su Wanru of the Green Hill Foxes. In terms of temperament, Su Wanru was a seductive beauty who could make people lose their will to fight, while the white fairy was a holy woman who could not be offended. Howren, do you agree to our bet? The white fairy asked with a confident smile when she saw the surprise in Howren's eyes. Not interested. However, to the surprise of the white-robed fairy and the countless masters in the hidden dragon fortress, Howren's answer was still to reject such a holy and beautiful woman. Howren, am I not beautiful? The white fairy was infuriated by Howren's repeated rejections. However, she still suppressed her anger and asked, "What do you think?" "You're beautiful." A hint of mockery appeared in Yu Haoran's eyes as he replied to the white fairy's question. But compared to the three spiritual liquids, your beauty is worthless in my eyes. This, Yu Haoran's comment that the white fairy's beauty was worthless made countless masters in the hidden dragon fortresses of the 5 regions gasp involuntarily. Even the people in the hidden dragon fortress in the southern region were shocked by Yu Haoran's comment. They had just been baptized by Su Wanru's beauty and could bear the shock of seeing the white fairy's true appearance. Yu Haoran's blatant humiliation almost made the white fairy go berserk. However, she remembered the ancestors' instructions before she left. She could only take deep breaths to suppress the impact of her anger on her mind. Seeing your sister from the central region, I, Yu Haoran, am an alchemist who can immediately break through to the Elixir Emperor realm. Yu Haoran took a deep breath and tried to speak gently when he saw the white fairy's breasts heaving up and down because of her anger. Although I don't know if you know the true effects of the 3 spiritual liquids, I can tell you the truth. Your beauty and temperament can't compare to the 3 spiritual liquids at all. Moreover, it will take me at least 2 years to refine the 3 spiritual liquids from hundreds of level 3 and level 2 medicinal herbs. Even if my alchemy cultivation reaches the Elixir Emperor realm and I master the illusory alchemy method, the number 1 secret method of refining elixirs in the Middle Ages. So, I didn't mean to humiliate you when I said that you were worthless. After explaining in a gentle tone, Yu Haoran signaled the rainbow dragon to speed up its descent. He didn't want to waste any more time with the white fairy. Yu Haoran, what if I'm willing to be a concubine or a servant? After hearing Yu Haoran's gentle explanation, the white fairy finally understood why the ancestor wanted her to get the 3 spiritual liquids at all costs. Therefore, no matter how angry and wronged she felt, the white fairy couldn't help lowering her request when Yu Haoran was leaving. Yu Haoran didn't respond to the white fairy's tempting request. He jumped off the rainbow dragon and landed directly next to Qinling Fei. Then, he put his arm around her waist to express his attitude. Chapter 14:11. In the sky above the hidden dragon fortress in the southern region, the white fairy, whose pride had been aroused, used the white veil to cover her face again. She looked provocatively at Yu Haoran, who had his arm around Qinling Fei's waist below the dragon arena in the hidden castle in the southern region. Yu Haoran, since my beauty is worthless in your eyes, I will do everything I can to make you fall in love with me. Fall hopelessly in love with me, and then willingly refine the 3 spiritual liquids that the ancestor needs for me, and painstakingly refine thousands of elixirs for our Huangfu family. In the end, I will ruthlessly kick you away and let you know the consequences of offending me. Huangfu Xianying. After secretly swearing, Huangfu Xianying signaled the rainbow dragon under her feet to quickly land in the hidden dragon fortress in the central region. Then, she ignored the strange looks from the surrounding people and slowly closed her eyes to calm her fluctuating emotions. 20 meters away from Huangfu Xianying, a handsome young man in a purple robe was looking at Huangfu Xianying with a chilling look in his eyes. Huangfu Xianying, if it weren't to please you with your strength, how could you have won the Central Region Hidden Dragon ranking battle? Now, you would rather lower yourself to please a bumpkin than accept my pursuit. So don't blame me for being ruthless. Huangfu Xianying, I will forcefully kill Yu Haoran in the Hidden Dragon ranking battle of the 5 regions Hidden Dragon ranking battle, and then take his head to your Huangfu family to propose marriage. If you still don't want to marry me, then I, Dong Xingjie, will personally lead countless experts of the Dong family to destroy your Huangfu family. When the white fairy's shadow left, there was a strong, provocative look in her eyes, which made Yu Haoran have a bad feeling. He had a feeling that the white fairy, who had a peerless appearance and top talent, would definitely bring him a lot of trouble in the future. Responding to Yu Haoran's hug, Qinling Fei thanked him gratefully. Thank you, Prince Consort. After all, with the stunning appearance and the noble temperament that the white fairy had shown, as well as her willingness to marry him, Even a top ninth grade martial venerable would find it hard to refuse. Not only did Yu Haoran reject her outright, but he also didn't show any signs of hypocrisy or infatuation. With such a loyal heart, how could Qin Ling Fei not feel extremely lucky? Lucky that she was able to get such an outstanding man like Yu Haoran. Silly girl, what are you talking about? Yu Haoran pretended to be unhappy as he pulled his arm away from her waist and flicked her forehead. Could it be that in your eyes, I, Yu Haoran, am a licentious young master who indulges in debauchery? Facing Yu Haoran's pretended criticism, Qin Ling Fei did not say anything. She just leaned her head on a shoulder and looked at the dozens of seven-colored dragons above the hidden dragon fortress with a happy smile. Roar! When the champions of the hidden dragon ranking in the East, South, West, and Central regions all returned to their respective fortresses, the seven-colored dragons at the top of the rankings let out deafening roars at the same time. With the deafening roars, the 10,000-meter-long seven-colored dragons roared in response and rushed toward Yu Haoran, who was below the arena. Seeing the seven-colored dragons rushing toward him, Yu Haoran took a few steps back and said, Ling Fei, prepare to receive the fiercest reward from the hidden dragon luck. Boom! As the 10,000-meter-long seven-colored dragons merged into Yu Haoran's body, a wave of special aura quickly rose from his body. With the wave of the special aura, the highest realm, his godly soul, officially entered the early stage of second-grade martial venerable. Next was his physical body, which reached the peak of first-grade martial venerable. Lastly, his origin power also reached the mid-stage of first-grade martial venerable. At the same time, the law of flash, which he had just comprehended, reached perfection. The law of life and death, which he mainly cultivated, was also showing signs of being forcefully controlled by his godly soul. If the law of life and death was truly controlled by his godly soul, it meant that he could not control his cultivation at all and directly reach the level of martial venerable. This completely went against his cultivation breakthrough plan. Therefore, without having time to explain to Qin Ling Fei and the others, Yu Haoran sat down cross-legged and began to suppress his cultivation breakthrough with all his strength. At the same time, he guided the hidden dragon luck to improve his Pill Dao and Formula Dao. It seems that Pill Emperor Yu's ambition is not small. The special aura fluctuation that rose from Yu Haoran's body was all too familiar to the peerless martial venerable powerhouses in the spectator stands. This was because it was the sign that his cultivation was about to break through to the level of martial venerable. It was also a change in aura that they had personally experienced. Moreover, according to the range of the aura fluctuation, Yu Haoran would definitely become a peak martial venerable powerhouse after breaking through. However, facing the level of martial venerable that countless cultivators dreamed of, not only did Yu Haoran not use the hidden dragon luck to break through, but he also suppressed it with all his might. This made all the peerless martial venerable powerhouses in the spectator stands envious and jealous. At the same time, they could not help but admire him. This meant that Yu Haoran wanted to accumulate more accumulation so that he could break through to a higher level of cultivation when he truly broke through to the level of martial venerable. With Yu Haoran's current accumulation and the support of the hidden dragon luck, when he broke through to the level of martial venerable, he would definitely be able to reach the peak of third-grade martial venerable. He might even be able to reach the beginning of fourth-grade martial venerable. If he continued to accumulate through the hidden dragon rankings and obtain more support from the hidden dragon luck, then when he broke through to the level of martial venerable, his cultivation would reach the peak of fifth-grade martial venerable, or even the beginning of sixth-grade martial venerable. However, Yu Haoran's shock and exclamation from suppressing his breakthrough did not last for too long. This was because Wu Jinjun, who was ranked second, the Sword Without Trace, who was ranked third, and Wang Chuantao, who was ranked ninth, all made the same choice as Yu Haoran when their cultivations uncontrollably broke through under the support of the hidden dragon luck. They used all their strength to suppress their breakthrough. Brother Gene, have you noticed that the participants of this year's Hidden Dragon rankings, whether it is their talent and potential, their cultivation and strength, as well as their perseverance and ambition, all of them far surpass any of the participants in the past tens of thousands of years? The peerless martial venerable powerhouse who had once evaluated Howren on the Northern Spectator stands turned his head and sighed to the peerless martial venerable surnamed Gene. Brother Kong, flourishing times represent chaotic times. Chaotic times contain new hope. Regardless of whether it is the participants of the southern region or the participants of the other four regions, they will become the main characters of this chaotic time. Hearing his good friend's exclamation, the peerless martial venerable surnamed Gene could not help but sigh. Chapter 1412. In the central square of the Hidden Dragon Fortress in the southern region, faced with the fiercest feedback from the Hidden Dragon luck, not all the contestants chose to suppress their breakthrough like Howren. Among them, 14 contestants chose to break through to the Martial Saint realm on the spot. Although they succeeded in breaking through to the Martial Venerable realm, they were only ordinary Martial Venerables. If they didn't have a heaven-defying opportunity in the future, the highest achievement they could achieve in their lives will be the peak of the 9th grade Martial Venerable realm. Howren managed to avoid breaking through to the Martial Venerable realm on the spot by desperately suppressing his breakthrough and guiding the effects of the Hidden Dragon fortune. However, it was also because of the guidance of the Hidden Dragon fortune that his alchemy cultivation reached the point where he couldn't continue suppressing his breakthrough. Howren, who had already decided to break through to the Pill Emperor realm, raised his head and asked the purple-robed middle-aged man in the air, "Amethyst Elder, can I use the arena in front of me?" Of course. Although Howren didn't explain the use of the arena, the purple-robed middle-aged man had already guessed that he wanted to use the arena to break through to the Pill Emperor realm. He immediately nodded excitedly and agreed. "Zhengjun, Wu Trace, protect me." Because the Pagoda Spirit had used the second stage, 9th grade Purple Spirit Embryo Fruit, and the purple lightning of the Pill Tribulation to recover its divine soul in advance, it had fallen into a deep sleep, causing Howren to lose his most powerful secret protection. He had no choice but to temporarily use two methods to ensure his safety during his breakthrough to the Pill Emperor realm. He secretly summoned his first and second doppelganger, who were cultivating in the victor, to temporarily replace Thaling's position and secretly protect his safety. On the surface, he informed the strongest people, Wu Zhengjun and the Sword Without Trace, to keep an eye on the people with ulterior motives in the Hidden Dragon Fortress. Yes, after hearing Howren's order, Wu Zhengjun and the Sword Without Trace quickly nodded and followed him to the arena. "Why isn't Ant here yet?" Qian Yuan Jin, who also knew that Howren was using the arena to break through to the Pill Emperor realm, looked up to the north of the Hidden Dragon Fortress and couldn't help complaining anxiously. After returning to the arena, Howren quickly walked to the spot where he used Gully's Divine Soul to make the 2nd grade level 3 Supreme Realm benefiting elixir and then sat down cross-legged. After that, he took out the 9 medicinal herbs needed to make the elixir of the 2nd grade level 1 embryonic elixir and slowly closed his eyes. And carefully to recall the elixir recipe of the 2nd grade level 1 level elixir. After confirming that he had memorized the pill recipe, he suddenly opened his eyes. At the same time, his 10 fingers began to quickly form a seal, using the pill condensation technique of nothingness to condense an independent space for the pill fire. 2nd grade level 3 grade level 3 level ginseng. Level 3 grade level 3 level 3 level lotus level. While Howren was using the nothingness pill condensation technique to condense the independent space of the pill fire, Sun Si Chao, who was on the east side of the stands, began to think about the type of pill he planned to refine while pointing out the origins and grades of the 9 medicinal herbs he had just taken out. Everyone present knew that Yu Haoran was going to make a special elixir to break through to the Pill Emperor realm. Therefore, before he made the elixir successfully and broke through to the Pill Emperor realm, he wouldn't talk to anyone present. Therefore, everyone present looked at Sun Xichao, hoping that they could get the specific origins and grades of the elixir Yu Haoran was going to make. According to the grades and medicinal properties of the 9 medicinal herbs, Pill Emperor Yu is going to make the 2nd grade level 1 level Emperor Elixir. After carefully thinking about the medicinal properties of the 9 medicinal herbs, Sun Xichao said to himself, but he didn't know that his wrong guess just now had brought a shocking shock to everyone present. Whether it was the top martial revered masters, ordinary martial revered masters, or the few almighty masters who were about to become Emperor Wu, they all stood up after hearing his speculation and looked at Yu Haoran, who was sitting cross-legged on the stage and condensing his elixir fire into an independent space. No, he's missing the main ingredient, the Tao source fruit, and several other important supplementary herbs. Pill Emperor, you shouldn't be refining the 2nd grade level 1 Emperor Elixir. However, just as the emotions of the countless top masters were ignited, Sun Xichao's speculation was like a bucket of cold water poured over their heads, instantly cooling their fiery emotions. Since he's not refining the 2nd grade level 1 Emperor Elixir, then with the special medicinal properties of the profound yellow ginseng, spirit-eroding fruit, and blood-gray grass, could it be that Pill Emperor Yu is going to refine the 2nd grade level 1 Saint Emperor Elixir? The 2nd grade level 1 Saint Emperor Elixir was a top-grade pill that could help one break through to the Emperor Wu realm. However, it was different from the 2nd grade level 1 Emperor Elixir. The 2nd grade level 1 Emperor Elixir was a pill that could help Emperor Wu realm break through, while the 2nd grade level 1 Saint Emperor Elixir was a pill that could help one break through to a certain realm. For example, it could help one break through to a certain realm, such as one's mental state, yuan qi, soul, or physical body. Therefore, the 2nd grade level 1 Emperor Elixir was also known as the potential pill. Although it wasn't as effective as the level 1 Emperor Elixir, it was more highly regarded by the top martial revered masters. After hearing Sun Xichao's 2nd speculation, the ordinary martial revered masters present were only slightly shocked, but the top martial revered masters, as well as the purple-robed middle-aged masters sitting on the purple dragon throne, suddenly stood up again and looked at Yu Haoran, who was sitting cross-legged on the stage and had already started refining the herbs with burning eyes. That's not right. One of the main ingredients, the 2nd grade level 3 Snow Jade Spiritual Ginseng, is missing. It can't satisfy the yuan qi or soul's important medicinal effects needed to break through to the Emperor Wu realm. Unfortunately, Sun Xichao's 2nd self-denial caused the burning eyes of the purple-robed middle-aged master and the others to disappear, and a trace of anger gradually appeared in their hearts. This anger was directed at Sun Xichao, who was still immersed in his own speculation, unaware of it. Since it's not the 2nd grade level 1 Emperor Elixir or the 2nd grade level 1 Saint Emperor Elixir, then according to the medicinal effects of the 9 herbs, it seems that only the 2nd grade level 1 soul breaking divine elixir is left. The soul breaking divine elixir was a top-grade pill that could transform one's soul. Although it couldn't directly help one break through to the next realm, through the transformation of one's soul, it was more precious than a pill that could directly help one break through to the next realm. As for the 2nd grade level 1 soul breaking divine elixir, it could be used on all martial artists with souls below the peak of the 9th grade martial revered realm. Chapter 14:13. In the Hidden Dragon Fortress. It's still not right. Without the most crucial supplementary herb, I can't achieve the transformation of my spiritual soul. As Sun Xichao muttered to himself for the 3rd time, the people present, who had experienced 3 drastic changes in their emotions, could no longer control the anger in their hearts and glared at Sun Xichao. Among them, the top martial honorable, who could directly decide the life and death of the Sun clan, directly roared out in a low voice. Sun Sichao, shut the hell up. The top martial honorable's low roar, which contained soul power, woke Sun Sichao, who was immersed in his own speculation. When he saw that everyone present had not only stood up, but also looked at him with eyes full of uncontrollable anger, he was shocked. Senior, what did I do wrong? Sun Sichao, who was being glared at by countless experts for the first time in his life, asked in a trembling voice with a pale face. From now on, until Elixir Emperor you finishes refining the elixir, you can't say a word. Otherwise, I will immediately throw you out of the Hidden Dragon Fortress, the top martial honorable threatened while gnashing his teeth. In response, the purple-robed, middle-aged expert in midair did not stop him. Instead, he nodded in agreement. Yes, senior. Sun Sichao hurriedly nodded, and at the same time, he immediately used a secret technique to seal his mouth to show his obedience. The refining process of the rank 2 first-grade Emperor Essence pill was not troublesome. It only needed to be refined step by step patiently. As for whether he could succeed in refining the elixir in the end, not only did it require deep alchemy cultivation and ability, but it also required a certain amount of luck. With the support of the Hidden Dragon luck, his alchemy cultivation had already reached the limit of a great alchemy sect. To be able to successfully become the champion of the Southern Region Hidden Dragon ranking and obtain the unique 10,000-meter-long Rainbow Dragon, Yu Haoran believed that with his alchemy Dao cultivation and luck, not only would he be able to successfully refine a second-tier first-grade Emperor Essence embryonic pill, but he would also be able to use the reverse nourishment of the Emperor Essence embryonic pill to directly raise his alchemy Emperor realm to the great accomplishment realm after breaking through. The extraction of the medicinal materials, the nourishment after condensing the pill, the successful division of the 9 pills, and the nourishment after the division of the pills, everything was completed step by step. Yu Haoran paid attention to the 9 pills after the division of the pills began to devour the spirit of the world, attracted while recalling the Ice Heart Jadebone pill and 3 Lines Green Spirit pill, as well as the rank 2 grade 1-star source Congealing Spirit pill and other medicinal pills. Although the Embryonic Emperor pill was a pill that depended on luck and probability, and if one's luck was bad, it would be worse than a 10th level first-grade pill. However, if one's luck was heaven-defying, its effect would not lose to a second-level first-grade pill. Therefore, the traction force formed by the 9 pills and the range and concentration of the heaven and earth spiritual energy were not inferior to the top medicinal pills. At the same time, it shocked everyone present, and they also knew that the medicinal pills refined by Yu Haoran were extraordinary. This made dozens of top martial venerables and peerless experts of the scene begin to check their collections, so that they could seize the opportunity in the next competition. As the traction force formed by the 9 pills in the independent space of the alchemy fire became weaker and weaker, even Yu Haoran, who was full of confidence, had to stare at the 9 pills nervously. The pills are done. At the moment when the traction force formed by the 9 pills completely disappeared, Yu Haoran quickly made a gesture with his 10 fingers to withdraw the independent space of the alchemy fire and roared at the same time. Following the roar, the 9 pills floating in the air began to spin rapidly. As the 9 pills spun rapidly, a large number of cracks began to appear on the surface of one of the pills, and small cracks appeared on the surface of the other 2 pills. Pop! As a crisp sound came from the central square, the pill with a large number of cracks only lasted for less than 20 seconds before it completely turned into white powder and fell to the ground. With a wave of his sleeve, Yu Haoran kept the white powder and stared at the other 2 pills with small cracks. He secretly prayed that they would be able to withstand the impact and damage caused by the spinning force. Perhaps Yu Haoran's luck was good, but the 2 pills with small cracks did not shatter. Instead, as the spinning speed increased, the small cracks on the surface of the pills completely disappeared. Zhengjun, Wuhan, I'm going to use the pills that I just refined to break through to the pill Emperor realm. You two be alert of the surroundings. Seeing that the 8 grade 1 grade 2 Emperor Vitality embryonic pills had survived the most dangerous moment, Yu Haoran, who was completely relieved, instructed Wu Jingjun and the sword without trace behind him. Senior brother, don't worry. Even a peerless expert at the peak of the martial venerable realm won't be able to disturb your breakthrough. Wu Jingjun assured him as he took out the blood-devourer blade that had advanced to the peak of the martial venerable realm. Junior brother, trust me. The sword without trace, who had taken out his formation sword and natal sword, solemnly assured him. On the surface, there was Wu Jingjun and the sword without trace's assurance. In the dark, there was also the full cooperation of his first and second doppelganger. Yu Haoran reluctantly closed his eyes and waited for the 8 grade, 1 grade, 2 Emperor Vitality embryonic pills to nourish him. Brother Wei, when do we make our move? Just as Yu Haoran closed his eyes and waited for the nourishment of the Emperor Vitality embryonic pills, a middle-aged expert who was around 40 years old and wearing a green robe on the north side of the spectator stand used the method of divine sense to send a message to a middle-aged expert who was at the peak of the 5th grade martial venerable realm about 10 meters away. Brother Feng, are you not afraid of death? The middle-aged expert called Brother Wei suddenly asked. Brother Wei, what do you mean? The middle-aged man, surnamed Feng, was puzzled by the middle-aged man's baffling question. Brother Feng, take a look at the peerless experts at the top of the spectator stands. Look at the 6 venerables in the air. If you and I dare to interfere with Yu Haoran's breakthrough to the Dan Emperor realm, we will definitely die without a complete corpse. The middle-aged expert surnamed Wei explained bitterly. Then what about Master's orders? After sweeping his gaze across the peerless experts and the 6 venerables in the air, the middle-aged expert, surnamed Feng, felt a trace of fear rise in his heart. However, when he thought of the cruel methods of his master, he asked even more fearfully, if we tell Master the truth, I'm sure Master will understand our difficulties. The middle-aged man with the surname Wei replied in an uncertain tone. However, when a beautiful woman in her 30s wearing a great Taoist robe rushed to the bottom of the stage, the middle-aged experts, surnamed Wei and Feng, cut off any thoughts of interfering with Yu Haoran's breakthrough. Chapter 14:14 Hidden Dragon Fort Battle Arena. Elder Yunjin, please come to the battle arena. Just when Wu Jingjun and the sword without trace didn't know how to answer Qian Yuanjin's question, Yu Haoran suddenly opened his eyes and invited Qian Yuanjin. At the same time, the last bit of worry in his heart disappeared. This was because Qian Yuanjin wasn't only a powerful alchemist who had reached the peak of the Grandmaster realm, but she was also a peak level 7 martial honorable. Now that he had Qian Yuanjin, a peak revered martial artist, to protect him, those who had evil intentions would not dare to act rashly. Thank you. Facing Yu Haoran's invitation, Qian Yuanjin calmly thanked him. After she got onto the battle arena, she sat down 10 meters away from Yu Haoran. Zhengjun, traceless, you two also moved back 10 meters. Seeing that the 8 pills in the air started to slow down, Yu Haoran turned around and ordered Wu Jingjun and the sword without trace. After Wu Jingjun and the sword without trace moved back 10 meters, Qian Yuanjin closed his eyes without saying anything to Qian Yuanjin. Time passed by second. 3 minutes later, as the 8 pills floating in the air stopped spinning, they suddenly accelerated and rushed towards Yu Haoran, who was sitting cross-legged with his knees bent. When they were 3 meters away from Yu Haoran's head, the 8 pills started to spin at the same distance. As the 8 pills started to spin faster, traces of medicinal power floated out of the 8 pills and merged into Yu Haoran's body. Qian Yuanjin, who was calm, couldn't help but frown when she saw the 8 pills automatically releasing medicinal power and merging into Yu Haoran's body. She really didn't understand why Qian Yuanjin was doing this. However, when the alchemy energy coming out of Yu Haoran's body started to increase, Qian Yuanjin's frown was instantly replaced by shock. This was because the density of Yu Haoran's alchemy aura was not only dozens of times greater than that of a peak alchemy grandmaster like her, but it was also rapidly rising with the help of the medicinal energy that was constantly fusing into his body. Could it be that Yu Haoran was planning to break through to the alchemy emperor realm? As the power of the pills increased, the 8 spinning pills in the air became smaller and smaller. The quality of the pills continued to drop. This caused the countless peak martial saints on the spectator stands, as well as the purple-robed middle-aged man in the air, to frown. Could it be that Yu Haoran's 8 pills were only one-use pills to help him break through to the alchemy emperor realm? If that was the case, then what was the use of the treasures they prepared? The alchemy energy was spreading because the alchemy energy in his body was too thick. It had reached the limit of what his alchemy emperor realm and sea of consciousness could contain. Therefore, Yu Haoran, who felt that he was about to break through to the alchemy emperor realm, suddenly opened his eyes and shouted, "Break through for me!" Accompanied by Yu Haoran's explosive shout, in the silent hidden dragon fortress, on the chaotic profound sky continent, in the distant vast ocean, among the countless forbidden grounds and ruins, a faint medicinal fragrance suddenly appeared out of thin air. The medicinal fragrance appears. The alchemy emperor realm is formed. After smelling the faint medicinal fragrance that appeared out of nowhere in the hidden dragon fortress, Qian Yunjin suddenly stood up and shouted in a low voice with an incomparably excited expression. The medicinal fragrance appears. The alchemy emperor realm is formed. The pills condense. The alchemy god appears. This was the most vivid evaluation of the alchemy emperor realm and the alchemy god realm since the ancient times. Qian Yunjin's shout also alarmed the countless people present. They all stood up like Qian Yunjin and looked at Yu Haoran excitedly, because they were witnessing a miracle that had not appeared in the profound sky continent for hundreds of thousands of years. Inside the hidden dragon fortress in the central region, following the end of the hidden dragon ranking competition, people started to leave the stands. However, when the faint medicinal fragrance appeared out of nowhere in the hidden dragon fortress, regardless of whether it was the experts who were about to leave or the experts who were still talking, they all stopped and started to guess the reason for the faint medicinal fragrance appearing in the hidden dragon fortress. The medicinal fragrance appears. The alchemy emperor realm is formed. A peak alchemy grandmaster who had just stood up and was about to leave the hidden dragon fortress shouted excitedly. This is the phenomenon of heaven and earth when an alchemy master breaks through to the alchemy emperor realm. What? There really is an alchemy master who can achieve the alchemy emperor realm in the profound sky continent. A first tribulation quasi-emperor powerhouse asked the peak alchemy Dao great grandmaster level expert in extreme shock. That's right. Nodding, the peak alchemy grandmaster looked towards the south and said with a tone full of emotions, "If my guess is correct, the alchemy master who is breaking through to the alchemy emperor realm should be the prince consort from the great Emperor Qin Empire, alchemy emperor Yu Haoran, who has the strongest alchemy Dao talent." After hearing the peak alchemy grandmaster's emotions, Huangfu Xiaoying opened her eyes abruptly and revealed an extremely shocked expression. Although Yu Haoran had said that he could immediately become an alchemy emperor during the bet, Huangfu Xiaoying only thought that he was bragging. After all, an alchemy emperor who had not appeared for hundreds of thousands of years would not break through so easily. Otherwise, the top 10 peak alchemy grandmasters in the profound sky continent would have already reached the alchemy emperor realm and would not have been trapped for hundreds of years. However, what she did not expect was that not only was he not bragging, but he immediately broke through to the alchemy emperor realm right after they separated. This meant that he could easily control his alchemy Dao realm, which also proved his monstrous talent in alchemy Dao. The shock that emerged in her heart made Huangfu Xiaoying's thoughts of taking revenge on Yu Haoran not disappear, but become even stronger. This was because the higher Yu Haoran's alchemy Dao realm was, the stronger his alchemy Dao ability was, and the more help he would be to the Huangfu clan. Damn it! After hearing the peak alchemy grandmaster's emotions and seeing the shock in Huangfu Xiaoying's eyes, Dong Xingjie cursed with a gloomy expression. This was because alchemy masters in the alchemy emperor realm would not only greatly increase the success rate of refining elixirs, but they could also refine top-notch elixirs suitable for martial venerables, quasi-emperor Wu, and emperor Wu realms. Although the Dong clan was very powerful, so powerful that they were not afraid of clans like the Shang clan and the Zhou clan that had been passed down since the Middle Ages, he was only a young clan leader with the title of heir and did not have much power. He was not qualified to decide the life and death of an alchemy master in the alchemy emperor realm. After thinking about it carefully, Dong Xingjie could only find an ally of the Dong clan to think of a solution. Chapter 14:15. In a nameless valley at the junction of the Eastern Territory and the Southern Territory, three white-haired old men in different starry robes were sitting cross-legged on a huge silver chessboard in a triangular position. Although the three white-haired old men did not have any energy fluctuations, their bottomless aura was like a vast ocean. It was enough to show that they were not ordinary old men. Just as the phenomenon caused by Howard breaking through to the Pill Emperor realm appeared, the white-haired old man in starry robes suddenly opened his eyes. After carefully sniffing the faint medicinal fragrance that appeared out of nowhere in the valley, his originally kind face was immediately replaced by a sinister one. The corners of his mouth even curled up slightly as he muttered to himself with a cold smile. I didn't expect that someone would take advantage of the chaos to break through to the Pill Emperor realm. It seems that the death of the master apothecary 10,000 years ago did not teach that group of arrogant alchemists a deep enough lesson. Xing Chun, the heavenly Tao, is about to slumber and the 100 races are about to appear. A mere Pill Emperor in the Pill Tao realm is not worthy of your attention. Just as the white-haired old man in starry robes sneered to himself, the white-haired old man in silver moon robes slowly opened his eyes and reminded him, "Silver Moon, if the Pill Emperor in the Pill Tao realm is not worthy of your attention, then why did you order people to go to Pingyang City to kill an ordinary couple in the Martial Master realm 4 years ago?" Faced with the white-haired old man in silver moon robes reminder, the white-haired old man in starry robes called Xing Chun immediately asked in displeasure. According to the divination, the fate of this couple can seriously threaten the three of us. Therefore, in order to prevent future troubles, we can only act according to the will of the heavens. The white-haired old man in the silver moon robe replied faintly, "The birth of a Pill Emperor will definitely cause an uncontrollable situation. It might even threaten the three of us like the master apothecary 10,000 years ago. Therefore, in order to prevent future trouble, I think we can only act according to fate," the white-haired old man in starry robes suggested. "No." Hearing that the white-haired old man in starry robes intended to act according to fate and send people to kill the Pill Emperor who had just broken through to the Pill Tao realm, the white-haired old man in silver moon robes immediately shook his head and objected. Scorching Sun has to seal the laws of the heavenly Tao and deal with the 4 great guardian families. You. And I also need to absorb the essence of the 100 races. We also need to be on guard against the ambitions of Hell and World Cleanser. It's not good to divert too much of our attention. Alas. Seeing the white-haired old man's face gradually darken, the silver moon-robed old man sighed helplessly and could only choose to take a step back. How about this? Send a small team from Yaoguang to deal with that alchemy master who just broke through to the alchemy emperor realm. Hearing the white-haired old man in the silver moon Taoist robe concede, the old man's smile instantly replaced the gloomy starry Taoist robe old man smile. A mere alchemist without much battle prowess. There is no need to mobilize a small team of Yaoguang. We only need to send a peak first-grade martial saint to deal with him. In response, the white-haired old man in the silver moon robe nodded without any objections. Then he slowly closed his eyes and continued to let his mind wander. After taking out a special communication jade talisman and giving the order to kill the Pill Emperors and Pill Masters, the white-haired old man closed his eyes again. Just like the white-haired old man in the silver moon robe, his mind was wandering. In the southern region, hidden dragon fortress. Following the appearance of the alchemy master breaking through to the alchemy emperor realm, a benevolent white-haired old man riding a green bull monster appeared above Yu Haoran, who was sitting cross-legged on the stage. Sun Sichao, who is the old man riding the bull. Although he tyrannically asked Sun Sichao not to speak, after seeing the green bull monster and the benevolent white-haired old man above Yu Haoran's head, Elder Blue from the eastern region overlord couldn't help but ask, "I'll allow you to speak for now." Seeing Sun Sichao pointing at his mouth, Elder Blue immediately felt that it was ridiculous and ordered. Replying to Elder Lawn, the benevolent white-haired old man riding the green bull demon beast is the #1 alchemist in the Middle Ages, Lousy Lier. Sun Sichao replied immediately after removing the seal on his mouth. Sun Sichao, why did Alchemy Master you condense the image of Lousy when he broke through to the alchemy realm? Lousy's reputation in the Middle Ages was not inferior to the 9 great divine beast kings in the ancient times. Other than his astonishing combat strength, it was also because of his achievements in the alchemy Dao. It could be said that no one before him could surpass him. Today, among the thousands of elixir recipes circulating in the Tianxian continent, almost 2/3 of them were created by Lousy, especially the 9 transformation golden pill that Lousy created when he reached the pinnacle of the alchemy Dao. It was even known as a heaven-defying elixir that could instantly turn one into a god. It was also the pinnacle elixir that countless alchemists pursued for their entire lives. Maybe it has something to do with Alchemy Master used nothingness pill condensation technique. Facing Elder Blue's questioning, Sun Sichao replied in an uncertain tone. This was because Yu Haoran was very similar to Lousy in the Middle Ages. Not only did he have shocking talent in the alchemy Dao, but his achievements in the martial Dao were also very similar. Maybe the image of Lousy Lier condensed when Yu Haoran broke through to the alchemy emperor realm was also related to their martial Dao. The image of Lousy, who was sitting on the green bull, lowered his head and glanced at Yu Haoran. His eyes revealed a look of admiration. Then, he reached out and patted the head of the green bull monster. The green bull monster let out a soundless roar and ran towards Yu Haoran with its 4 hooves. When the green bull carrying Lousy's image rushed into Yu Haoran's sea of consciousness, a burst of alchemy Dao aura that made Qian Yunjin and Sun Sichao feel alarmed quickly emerged from his body. The crazy emergence of alchemy Dao aura meant that Yu Haoran had successfully advanced to the alchemy emperor realm. Therefore, Qian Yunjin and Sun Sichao wanted to wait until Yu Haoran withdrew the rich alchemy Dao aura that emerged from his body. Then, when they went forward to congratulate him, they were surprised to find that Yu Haoran, who suddenly opened his eyes, didn't immediately withdraw the alchemy Dao aura that emerged from his body. Instead, his 10 fingers quickly formed a seal and merged it with the 8 pills floating above his head. Due to the accelerated loss of medicinal efficacy, the 8 pills that were originally the size of a longan not only shrank to the size of a rice grain, but also fell to the 1st grade of the 10th level. They were basically at the point of shattering. However, when Yu Haoran's seal merged with the pills, the 8 pills that were still floating in the air began to rotate again. As the 8 pills sped up their rotation, the rich alchemy Dao aura that emerged from Yu Haoran's body was gradually absorbed by the pills. As the pills continued to absorb the rich alchemy Dao aura, the 8 pills that had shrunk to the size of a rice grain not only began to grow again, but also rapidly rose in grade. Chapter 14:16. In the arena of the hidden dragon fortress. As the 8 pills that were spinning in the air absorbed more and more of the pill emperor's aura, not only did they return to the size of a longan, but they also leveled up to rank 2, rank 1. The transformation of the 8 rank 2, rank 1 pills that were floating in the air shocked Qian Yunjin and Sun Sichao. It also reignited the hope of the top martial venerables who were originally very disappointed. However, Yu Haoran, who was refining the rank 2, rank 1 Emperor Essence pill, did not have a happy smile on his face. Instead, there was a serious and hesitant look in his eyes. This was because when the green bull brought Laozi's shadow into his sea of consciousness, 7 top-notch elixir formulas suddenly appeared in his mind. One of the elixir formulas pointed to how to refine and fuse 8 second-stage first-grade Emperor Essence elixir into a true second-stage first-grade Emperor Essence elixir. He had obtained the pill formula of the rank 2, rank 1 Emperor Essence pill from a relic left behind from the late antiquity era in his previous life. Laozi Li'er was an expert in alchemy during the early Middle Ages. There was a period of countless years between the two of them. Therefore, it was impossible for Laozi to know about the existence and pill formula of the Emperor Essence pill. This was also the fundamental reason why he looked so serious. Unfortunately, Thaling was in a deep sleep to recover his spirit, so he could not solve the doubts in his heart for the time being. At the same time, he was hesitating whether he should use Laozi's pill formula to refine the 8 rank 2, rank 1 Emperor Essence pills into rank 2, rank 1 Emperor Essence pills. After all, the Emperor Essence pill was too dependent on luck and probability. The shock it brought to the crowd was not as great as the rank 2, rank 1 Emperor Essence pill. Moreover, the Emperor Essence pill that he had been forced to destroy in the auction would always be a thorn in his heart. If he did not think of a way to deal with it, it would affect his breakthrough sooner or later. Brother Yu, the Tier 2 first-grade Emperor Essence pill, is a very special pill. If you can use this special pill to refine the Tier 2 first-grade Emperor Essence pill, not only will you be able to create a new pill refining method and improve the fortune of the Void Domain, but you'll also be able to greatly improve your cultivation base in the Tao of Alchemy, which will help you and me reach the core God realm sooner. At the instant Yu Haoran successfully advanced to the Alchemy Tao Alchemy Emperor realm, his first clone that was affected by his mind and divine soul also advanced to the Alchemy Tao Alchemy Emperor realm at the same time. Therefore, it was very normal for him to be very concerned about whether his main body could continue to improve his alchemy Tao cultivation. At the same time, I can feel that Laozi's phantom does not have any ill intentions towards you. Perhaps this is a method for him to pass on his Tao of alchemy. Yu Haoran wasn't very interested in the alchemy Tao of the Ronkong sect. However, he was very interested in increasing the Void Domain's alchemy Tao luck. After all, due to the influence of alchemy on one's talent and physique, there were very few alchemists in the entire Tianxian continent. The number of alchemy grandmasters and above was even rarer. It seriously affected the rank's alchemy cultivation realm. When he followed Thaling into the rank's alchemy cultivation realm, he found that the rank 1's alchemy cultivation realm was at the bottom of all the alchemy cultivation realms. If he and his first clone could reach the Pill God realm, the rank 1 Emperor Essence Pill Emperor's alchemy cultivation realm would increase the rank 1 Emperor Essence Pill Emperor's alchemy cultivation realm. In order to increase the rank 1 Emperor Essence Pill Emperor's alchemy cultivation realm, and to make up for the regrets of his previous life, Yu Haoran's hesitation was replaced by determination. He stood up and started to condense the independent space of his alchemic flame. What is Pill Emperor you trying to do? Qian Yunjin and Sun Sichao were deeply puzzled when they saw Yu Haoran condensing the independent space of his alchemic flame without taking out any medicinal herbs for alchemy. When the independent space of his alchemic flame was successfully condensed, Yu Haoran used his mind to control the 8 second-tier first-grade Emperor Essence embryonic pills and sent them into the independent space of his alchemic flame. Grandmaster Qian, what is Pill Emperor you doing now? Sun Sichao's consecutive wrong conjectures made the purple-robed middle-aged man in the air somewhat distrust him. Therefore, when faced with Yu Haoran's strange actions of refining and fusing the 8 pills, the purple-robed middle-aged man's questioning target was Qian Yunjin, who had a higher alchemy cultivation base, more knowledge, and more reliable. Pill Emperor Yu is currently refining the essence of the 8 pills. He should be trying to refine a brand new pill. However, I won't be able to tell the quality and grade of the new pill until the final pill is formed. Due to the purple-robed, middle-aged man's extraordinary background, Qian Yunjin didn't dare to be negligent in replying. Moreover, this is the first time I've seen or heard of such a method of refining pills. Many thanks. Although Qian Yunjin's reply was overly cautious, she still pointed out in detail what Yu Haoran was doing. Therefore, after thanking her, the purple-robed, middle-aged man began to wait patiently. Yunjia, it's all your fault for insisting on coming. Otherwise, with my strength and speed, how could I miss the important moment of Prince Consort's advancement to the Pill Emperor realm? Just as everyone was patiently waiting for Yu Haoran to use the pills to refine a brand new pill, a voice of complaint was rapidly approaching the central square. Hearing the approaching voices, the purple-robed, middle-aged man couldn't help but frown. However, he didn't reprimand them. Firstly, it was because of the information revealed by the other party that their relationship with Yu Haoran wasn't shallow. If he took the risk of reprimanding them, it was very likely that he would indirectly offend Yu Haoran. Secondly, among the two people quickly approaching the central square, one of them was a first tribulation quasi, Emperor Wu. He was an expert that he didn't dare to offend. After all, there was an essential difference between a quasi, Emperor Wu, and a quasi-martial venerable. If one's talent and potential were outstanding, and he mastered profound martial skills and magic weapons, the strength of a martial sage could completely defeat and kill a quasi-martial venerable. This was also the fundamental reason why a quasi-martial venerable's cultivation was called an expert and not a peerless expert. However, a quasi-Emperor Wu's realm was different. Even if one's talent and potential were very outstanding, even if one mastered martial skills and magic weapons, the strength of a martial venerable could at most defeat a quasi-Emperor Wu who hadn't gone through any tribulations. It was absolutely impossible for him to be a match for a quasi-martial venerable who had gone through one tribulation. This was also the important reason why a quasi-Emperor Wu's realm was called a powerful expert. Yuan Zhu and Tung Yunjia, who quickly rushed to the central square, were shocked when they found that countless spectators around the stands, as well as the contestants, were all quietly watching the arena and Yu Haoran, who was refining pills on the arena. Chapter 14-17. In the central square of the hidden dragon fortress. Without continuing to complain about Tung Yunjia, Ancestor Yuan cupped his hands in greeting to the middle-aged expert in purple and the other 5 people in midair. Then, he nodded to Emperor Qin and Meng Zhengkai at the top of the south stand. Then, he took Tung Yunjia to Qin Lingfei's side and silently watched Yu Haoran, who was refining the elixir. Whether it was the essence extraction of the Emperor Vitality elixir or the recondensation of the elixir, the process was dozens of times more difficult than refining an ordinary elixir. Therefore, in the face of the arrival of Ancestor Yuan and Tung Yunjia, Yu Haoran did not have any energy to pay attention to them at all. He concentrated on the condensing elixir technique. Fortunately, with the help of the profound accumulation of elixir and the huge blessing of the Hidden Dragon luck, at the moment of the breakthrough of the Elixir Emperor realm, the Elixir Emperor realm was directly promoted to the peak of the small completion realm. Therefore, the process of refining and condensing the 8 second-order first-grade Emperor Essence embryonic pills was completed without any mishap. The essence of the 8 elixirs merged into one elixir, directly skipping the 3rd step of dividing the elixirs. After successfully condensing the elixir, Yu Haoran directly took out a few elixirs to restore strength and tried his best to restore the original strength and soul power consumed in the process of refining and condensing the elixir. At the moment when the essence of the Emperor Vitality elixir was successfully condensed into an elixir, a strong suction force was immediately formed from the independent space of the elixir fire, directly gathering the spiritual chi of heaven and earth within 1,000 miles. At the same time, the gathering dark clouds gradually made the entire Hidden Dragon fortress fall into darkness. Fortunately, The martial artists with the lowest cultivation at the scene were juniors like the yellow-clothed girl in the martial royal realm, so the dim environment did not affect the people at the scene at all. Something's wrong. Does Elixir Emperor you want to? Just as the elixir in the independent space of the elixir fire formed a strong suction force, it began to forcibly gather the spiritual chi of heaven and earth within a radius of tens of thousands of miles. The middle-aged expert in purple, Ancestor Yuan and Qian Yunjin, who were closest to Yu Haoran, all felt a trace of a special law aura in the spiritual chi of heaven and earth. This made their bodies tremble slightly, and their eyes were full of disbelief. Perhaps because of the unconscious loss of voice just now, the purple-clothed middle-aged expert, Ancestor Yuan and Qian Yunjin all looked at each other, and then shouted softly in unison. Second grade, first grade Emperor Essence Pill. After the purple-robed middle-aged expert and the other two shouted out the quality and grade of the pill Yu Haoran was concocting, everyone present abruptly stood up and looked at Yu Haoran in disbelief. Second grade, first grade Emperor Wu pill was a heaven-defying pill that could help a peak ninth grade revered martial artist or an almighty expert to break through to the Emperor Wu realm. Even peak stage Alchemy Emperor realm alchemy masters did not have the slightest certainty of being able to refine it successfully. But Yu Haoran dared to directly refine it when his Alchemy Dao realm had just broken through to Alchemy Emperor. This showed that he had sufficient confidence in his Alchemy Dao ability after breaking through to the Alchemy Dao realm. At the same time, it also proved that his Alchemy Dao realm breakthrough was not just the initial stage of Alchemy Emperor. He had probably reached the small success stage of Alchemy Emperor, or even the large success stage of Alchemy Emperor. As a second grade, first grade Emperor Essence Pill that could help one break through to the Emperor Wu realm, it was the same as the third grade, first grade Hua Sovereign Pill that could help one break through to the revered martial artist realm. When the pill was formed, it needed to withstand the baptism of lightning. With the help of the top pill, Yu Haoran, who had recovered all his strength, raised his head and looked at the dark void with a trace of worry in his eyes. This was because the range and density of the dark clouds at this time was no less than the realm benefit pill refined during the competition. Although the second grade, first grade Emperor Essence Pill could not withstand the bombardment of the thunder rain like the realm benefit pill, it only needed to withstand the bombardment of 9 purple thunderbolts. However, with the amount of purple thunderbolts gathered in the dark clouds, the 9 purple thunderbolts that would fall in the end would probably reach the peak of the 9th grade martial artist realm. Now, Fowling was in a deep sleep as his divine soul body recovered. He had lost the means to seal the purple thunderbolts. He did not know whether he and the only Emperor Essence Pill could successfully pass through the lightning tribulation. Seeing that the suction force was gradually weakening, Yu Haoran forcefully dispelled the worry in his heart. Then, he took a deep breath and performed a seal to remove the independent space of the pill fire. At the same time, he took out the supreme grade Venerable Realm Glove magical artifact and restored his ancestral wizard body that was nearly 2,000 meters tall. Whether Alchemy Emperor, you can create a miracle in the end, depends on whether he and the Emperor Essence Pill can pass through the baptism of the 9 purple thunderbolts of lightning. After seeing Yu Haoran transform into a giant that was nearly 2,000 meters tall, Qian Yunjin suppressed the shock in his heart and couldn't help but sigh with anticipation. Qian Yunjin's sigh immediately made countless experts on the scene nervous, especially for those top martial venerables and almighty experts who were about to reach the Emperor Wu realm. Whether the Emperor Essence Pill could pass through the baptism of the 9 purple thunderbolts was related to whether they could reach the Emperor Wu realm or not. Therefore, they were obviously more nervous. If it were not for the fact that the pill tribulation did not allow external help, they would have directly rushed to the stage and helped Yu Haoran and the Emperor Essence Pill to pass through the baptism of the 9 purple thunderbolts. The moment the independent space of the pill fire was removed, The exposed Emperor Essence pill immediately attracted the attention of the dark clouds above the hidden dragon fortress. Purple thunderbolts flashed in the dark clouds from time to time. Boom! Accompanied by the roar of thunder and lightning. A purple thunderbolt as thick as a finger shot out from the dark clouds. Howard avoided the first purple thunderbolt of the pill tribulation by using the fast law and the flash law that had reached the perfection realm. He let the Emperor Essence pill bear the attack of the purple thunderbolt alone, which was not very threatening, in order to improve its quality and power. Boom! Accompanied by the roar of the second thunderbolt. A purple thunderbolt as thick as a small tree shot out from the dark clouds. Howard used the same method to avoid the second purple thunderbolt of the pill tribulation. He still let the Emperor Essence pill bear the attack of the purple thunderbolt alone. Boom! However, when the third purple thunderbolt, which was as thick as an arm, shot out from the dark clouds, Howard took a deep breath. He then used the fist technique that was passed down from the 12 ancestors of sorcerers to take the initiative to face the third purple thunderbolt. Fist suppressing the earth. As the fist technique and the purple thunderbolt collided, the power of the fist technique was offset. The purple thunderbolt, which was as thick as an arm, was also directly blasted into countless purple lights. Looking at the purple lights dancing in the sky, Howard directly opened his mouth and started to swallow the energy of the pill tribulation after the purple thunderbolt was blasted into pieces by force. As the countless purple lights were forcefully swallowed into his body, a crackling sound came from Howard's body. Chapter 14:18. Hidden Dragon Fortress. Boom! Fist shattering the firmament. When Howard sensed the purple lightning formed by the pill tribulation and the powerful assistance and enhancement effect it had on the grade of his body, his heart was filled with boundless excitement. When he faced the fourth purple lightning bolt that was as thick as the mouth of a bowl, he directly used the ancestral wizard fist technique to attack first. The fourth purple lightning bolt was also directly blasted into countless purple lights by the fist skill. Then, Howard secretly used the devouring technique to forcibly swallow it. At the same time, with the help of the special energy contained in the fourth purple lightning bolt, his physical body successfully advanced to the early stage of a top second grade martial venerable. It was truly on par with the realm of his divine soul. Howard hurriedly lowered his head to check on the Emperor Essence pill while the dark clouds were condensing the energy of the fourth purple lightning bolt. He found that the Emperor Essence pill that had been baptized by the first and second purple lightning bolt contained an astonishing amount of energy. It was completely capable of withstanding the baptism of the purple lightning bolt. Therefore, when faced with the fifth purple lightning bolt that was as thick as a tree, he used the same method to avoid the fifth purple lightning bolt. Then he stared at the Emperor Essence pill that was withstanding the baptism of the purple lightning bolt alone. The result was as he had expected. Not only did the Emperor Essence pill successfully withstand the bombardment of the purple lightning bolt, but it also absorbed the energy of the purple lightning bolt after it was shattered. This made its color more transparent and the energy contained in it more abundant. Fist shattering the Milky Way, Howard withdrew his gaze from the Emperor Essence pill and looked up at the dark clouds that were accumulating more lightning energy. He began to use the 12 Wizards' Legacy Fist skill in advance. Boom! Just as the sixth purple lightning bolt that was as thick as a bucket shot out from the dark clouds, the fist skill that had just arrived directly hit the purple lightning bolt. However, to Howard's surprise, the fist shattering the Milky Way was only able to shatter half of the purple lightning bolt in the end. This forced him to continue using the fist shattering the Milky Way and shatter the other half of the purple lightning bolt when it reached the top of his head. After using the same method to devour countless purple lights, his physical body that had just advanced to the early stage of a top second grade martial venerable showed signs of a breakthrough. However, Howard's face did not relax at all. This was only the sixth purple thunderbolt, which was of average power, but it already required him to perform 2 of the fist techniques that he had inherited from the ancestral wizard. Then, for the remaining 3 purple thunderbolts, which were even more powerful, would he need to use more of his trump cards? He looked down at the Emperor Essence pill and realized that it was still digesting the energy of the 5th lightning bolt. He could only continue to withstand the bombardment of the 7th lightning bolt alone. Fist shattering the Milky Way. Fist devouring immortal god. Considering that Yuhauran had to use 2 fist skills to break the 6th purple thunderbolt, he decided to use the 3rd and 4th fist skills of the ancestral witch's inheritance fist skills. The Milky Way fist, the Milky Way fist skill fist skill. The lightning was the fist skill, the fist skill, the fist skill. Although the final result was that it was not directly smashed into pieces, the 7th purple lightning bolt, which had lost 2/3 of its body and had lost a lot of energy, was also completely shattered by Yuhauran's punch. The energy contained in the 7th lightning bolt was too great. Yuhauran, who had forcefully swallowed it with the help of the great devouring technique, had his physical body advanced to the high stage of 2nd grade martial venerable. However, his face was still extremely solemn. Yuhauran continued to look down at the Emperor Essence pill. After realizing that it had successfully digested the energy of the 5th lightning bolt, he finally heaved a sigh of relief. Subsequently, he used the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th moves of the wizard's legacy fist skill in succession. He also immediately activated the fast and flash precept that had reached the perfection stage. The 7th lightning bolt, which had a diameter of 3 meters, had just left the dark clouds when it was attacked by the 5 moves of the fist skill. As a result, it lost more than half of its energy. With less than half of its energy left, Yuhauran easily dodged it by using the power of the 2 precepts. The purple lightning bolt landed heavily on the Emperor Essence pill. Looking at the Emperor Essence pill, which had taken the attack of the 8th lightning bolt by itself, Yuhauran was not the only one who was nervous. Even the purple-robed, middle-aged expert and the rest were nervous. Even some of the top-notch martial venerables on the spectator stand began to pray secretly. As the 8th lightning bolt disappeared, Yuhauran and the rest of the people present could not help but heave a sigh of relief when they saw the Emperor Essence pill that was in perfect condition and had a clearer luster. Subsequently, Yuhauran raised his head and looked at the dark clouds that were gathering the last lightning bolt. He mobilized the Rui bell in his spiritual soul and merged it with his physical body. At the same time, he overdrew the wizard's bloodline to perform the strongest fist skill, Ancestral Soul Reappearance. The burly middle-aged man, who had overdrawn the wizard's bloodline to perform the Ancestral Soul Reappearance fist skill, was far more solid than the Ancestral Soul Reappearance fist skill performed by activating the wizard's bloodline. Who is this person? Looking at the burly middle-aged man, who had a clearer appearance, everyone present had the same question in their hearts. However, the doubts in their hearts did not last long. They were attracted by the 9th lightning bolt that shot out from the dark clouds. The 9th bolt of purple lightning was completely different from the previous 8 bolts of purple lightning. This was because the 9th lightning bolt that had just left the dark clouds quickly transformed into a majestic giant purple dragon that was 1,000 meters long. Roar! The giant purple dragon, whose body was 1,000 meters long, roared at the burly middle-aged man and swung its huge dragon tail as it charged towards him. Boom! Subsequently, the giant purple dragon and the burly middle-aged man began to fight in midair. Although the burly middle-aged man was very powerful in close combat, and even the god of slaughter by Chi's shadow had been defeated by him, he was limited by his own strength. Under the fierce attacks of the giant purple dragon, he quickly fell into a disadvantageous position. Seeing that the burly middle-aged man who had condensed the fist skill was at a disadvantage, Yuhauran did not stay idle and watch the battle. He did not care about the consumption of his physical strength at all. The fist skills that he had inherited from the wizard's bloodline fell on the giant purple dragon's body as if they were free. Although the first few fist skills of the wizard's bloodline could not directly injure the giant purple dragon, the accumulated attacks gradually affected the giant purple dragon's performance. The burly middle-aged man took the opportunity to launch a fierce counterattack. At the same time, the Emperor Origin Pill that had barely digested the energy of the eighth lightning bolt joined the battle uncontrollably. It became a 3-on-1 situation. After more than a minute of fighting, the giant purple dragon was finally blasted into countless purple lights. Without any delay, Howren began to forcibly swallow the purple lights that were dancing in the sky with the help of the devouring technique that was secretly performed. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.